In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when I listen to my Ronnie, I listen to my Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q. It's time for Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q. It's time for Ronnie in the morning while I'm driving. Ronnie, I really come alive when it's time for Ronnie Q. I listen to my Ronnie. Ronnie, I listen to my Ronnie. It's time for Ronnie Q.
Grand Rising and Happy Black History Month. Yes, we will never forget and we will always celebrate Black history in this Black space. So I hope you guys had a fabulous weekend. I'm back. I was doing some traveling, so we're back. And of course, the world never stopped. But I want to honor our Black history all this month, as I always do. So let's take a trip down. Let's take a trip down some of the Black history that, they try to obscure, all of the erasure of the greatness of Black inventors, of Black people, the things that they try to make you believe that other people are the creators of. Let's delve into a little Black history, shall we?
Helped build its foundation. The earliest experiments with electric vehicles in the 1800s were crude but revolutionary. Across the Atlantic in Scotland, Robert Anderson created a primitive electric carriage in the 1830s, powered by non-rechargeable cells. Hungarian engineer Enéas Jedlik, German inventor Moritz Jacobi, and American innovators like Thomas Davenport also dabbled with similar designs. But what history does not often highlight is that in the United States, Black inventors were not only participants but leaders in these technological experiments. Granville Woods, often called the Black Edison, filed patents for electrical railway systems in the late 19th century that directly influenced the development of electric-powered transport. Elijah McCoy, whose lubricating systems revolutionized engines, made contributions that also found application in early electric motors. Yet tucked inside this constellation of brilliant minds,
Granville Woods was also the creator of the roller coaster. And I think it was Elijah Woods who did the uh, lubricating system. He was accredited with a system to lubricate the parts of the train system where a human being didn't have to go down there and lubricate the train wheels, and many of them lost their lives in doing so. He created that lubricating system. So let's continue.
was William H. Dungy. who is believed to have built one of the earliest working models of a self-propelled electric carriage in America during the 1800s. Dungy's work is not widely taught in classrooms, partly because of systemic racism in patent offices and partly because black inventors of the era were often forced to sell their patents or work under white proxies who received the recognition. Surviving patent office records from the mid-19th century indicate that black inventors were active in electrical and mechanical innovation, but very few of their names survived in official histories. A 19th century report by Henry E. Baker, one of the first African-American patent examiners at the U.S. Patent Office, documented dozens of cases where black inventors either could not secure patents in their own names or were denied the same publicity as their white peers. It is within these overlooked archives that hints of Dungy's electric carriage can be found. Accounts from African-American newspapers of the time, including the Colored American and the Christian Recorder, celebrated the achievements of black inventors who broke barriers in science and engineering. These papers filled in the silences left by mainstream publications, which rarely acknowledged black contributions. From these sources, we know that experiments with battery-powered carriages in the African-American community predated the gasoline-dominated automobile industry by decades. Dungy's design, though not mass-produced, demonstrated the feasibility of electricity as a power source for vehicles. He drew upon advancements in galvanic cells, adapting them into a storage mechanism that could power a motorized carriage for short distances, a marvel in an age where the horse was still king.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota and Montana.
It is important to understand how revolutionary this was. In the 1800s, batteries were unstable, heavy, and inefficient. To build a carriage that could move even a few blocks under its own power was not only a technical achievement, but also a statement of vision. The idea that one could free transportation from the limits of animal labor and fossil fuels was radical. While gasoline engines would later dominate because they offered longer ranges and refueling convenience, electricity as a clean, silent alternative was already in the imagination of inventors like Dungy. The irony, of course, is that while today's electric vehicle industry is celebrated as progressive, its early history is riddled with erasure of the very people who first imagined it. Dungy was operating in a society that denied African Americans access to capital, denied them education in many formal institutions, and frequently blocked their patents. Many black inventors were forced to work in anonymity or under the names of white sponsors. As a result, even when their ideas flourished, their identities were erased from the record. When white historians later compiled the history of the automobile, names like Anderson, Davenport, and Benz were preserved, while the contributions of African Americans slipped into obscurity. One of the most telling aspects of this erasure is how Granville Woods, who made significant contributions to electric railways and communication systems, was often in court defending his patents from theft. Thomas Edison himself tried to claim Woods's patents, offering to buy him out rather than acknowledging him as a peer. Woods resisted, winning his cases, and secured his legacy, though even his recognition remains limited compared to Edison. If Woods, with his persistence and visibility, barely managed to secure his place in history, it is easy to see how figures like Dungy and his electric carriage experiments could vanish almost entirely from the mainstream narrative. The larger truth is that the electric vehicle, often marketed as the future, is also part of a buried black past. In the 1890s, electric cars briefly enjoyed commercial success, particularly in cities like New York, where clean and quiet operation made them appealing to urban elites. Women especially preferred electric cars because they did not require hand cranking like gasoline engines. Yet by the early 20th century, gasoline overtook electricity, thanks in part to Ford's assembly line and the discovery of vast oil reserves. The electric dream faded, and with it the memory of pioneers like Dungy. When the automobile was canonized into history books, the contributions of black inventors were systematically omitted. Recovering this story matters not only because it honors the ingenuity of African Americans in the face of systemic barriers, but also because it reframes how we understand progress. Electric cars today are hailed as visionary, yet the very foundations of this new technology were laid in the 19th century by men whose names most people will never hear. To tell their story is to challenge the myth that Black people were merely passive observers of industrial innovation. In truth, they were inventors, creators, and visionaries who imagined futures far ahead of their time. Today, when companies like Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid Motors dominate headlines, their sleek vehicles are framed as breakthroughs of modern science. But to see William H. Dungy's crude electric carriage in the 1800s is to realize that the seeds were planted long ago. Those seeds were planted by hands that history tried to bind, by minds that were denied their rightful place in textbooks, and by communities that carried innovation even when credit was stolen from them. The future of clean energy, sustainable transportation, and the electric dream is, in part, a Black inheritance. The legacy of William H. Dungy and other forgotten Black inventors of the 19th century is a reminder that history is not simply what happened, but what was recorded and preserved. Their stories survive in fragments.
What was recorded and preserved. And that is the reason why this administration is going through all libraries, all museums, and trying to erase the history that and the contributions of Black Americans. So this link will be in my description box. Uh, when we think of the electric vehicles, so many people want to talk about Tesla, but they don't want to. But they what they don't want to tell you is that Elon Musk is not a engineer. Elon Musk hired engineers. Elon Musk purchased this idea from other inventors. If you don't know actual fact, if you don't know history, it's just very easy to whitewash it. Now, Elon Musk is slated to be the first trillionaire based on nothing, based on absolutely nothing that he invented himself. So, this link is in my description box, but and it's real funny how the world is so hush, 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 hush on the fact that Elon Musk was caught lying. Elon Musk, when he got mad with 45, 47, he wanted to tell you that 45, 47 was in the Epstein files. Now, come to find out, so is Elon Musk on many occasions. He's in the Epstein files himself. And then he said that he's never gone to the island and never tried to go to the islands. But this drop of Epstein files showed emails from Musk asking when he was going to have the most raunchiest party, and he wanted to be there. Let him know when he was going to have one of his worst parties so he could make sure that he was there. This is Elon Musk soliciting when he was going to have another one of his parties, quote unquote, wild parties. Elon Musk's daughter, the trans daughter Elon Musk has, there was something that showed up on the Epstein files about Musk and his sons going to the island. So at that time, the trans daughter must have been an underage child and was still the son. So she has come out and she has said that yes, that did happen. Yes, we were on that island. And if there is anything else you need to know about us going to the island, I will gladly let you know about it. So this is who's going to be a trillionaire. And nobody is saying bloop about it. They're more upset with his trans daughter. They want to get these trans people, but they are silent. They are silent on the fact that this disgusting individual was soliciting a spot on the island for these raunchy parties. You know, They have no problem with that person going through our government, firing our government workers as he gobbled up government contracts, a whole welfare queen, gobbling up government contracts. But everybody wants to pretend like this is some great mind. This is some great person. Mm. Okay, so that link is in my description box. I wanted to show you a little bit about Black history. We'll be here all month, as it were. No, they were not passive observers. They were actually creators. So I wanted to share that with you. Now we're going to talk about how lawless this administration is. Now, uh, a Congress passed a law that said that 4547 administration, its DOJ, must release all of the Epstein files, notes, uh, all the, I forget what they're called, all of the notes that were written by the FBI to investigate, the investigative notes, and there, it was a technical name for them. So they were supposed to submit those over 2 months ago. They had a deadline, which they did not meet. By the time of the deadline, they had released 1% of the Epstein files. So then, over 2 months later, Todd Blanche and what is her name? Pam Bimbo came out and said that they were releasing all of the files. So over the weekend, they've released some files, and Todd Blanche actually had the balls to come out and say, well, we have about 3 million more files, but we're not going to release them. Yeah, that's what he said. We have more, but we're not going to release them, to make a long story short. Now, they have been about 3 million pieces came out. Now they've been raking over this evidence. Now the law says that you cannot redact people because of their you don't want to stain their reputation. You don't want to embarrass them. You cannot redact people. The only people you can redact are the innocent girls who were trapped up in this. So what did Pam Bimbo and Todd Blanche, Todd Blanche who got Ghislaine Maxwell, that sweetheart prison sentence, what did they turn around and submit? What did they turn around and submit? They submitted paperwork where the victims' names and photos were unredacted. There was actually a list of names that said victims, recognized as victims. That this was released by this Department of Justice. However, there were some real strange and obvious redactions of 4547. So let's get into the foolishness of this Department of Justice, this lawless Department of Justice. I think we have it here. This is the Department of Justice has been defying the law deliberately. Let me share this with you.
This morning, DM me. My DMs are wide open. The Department of Justice is deliberately violating the law, and I need your help to get the word out because I don't know what else to do. I spent the last 48 hours now reviewing tens of thousands of Epstein files, and over the past several hours, I have found two critical files that the Department of Justice just completely violated the law on. The first is a file that has a manila envelope, and then afterwards has literal photographs of underage girls. We know they're underage because the photographs contain the date of birth of each girl. Another document literally is a list of Epstein victims, 32 of them to be exact. One name is redacted, 31 are not. And the pictures that I mentioned, not a single one is redacted. And so I spent this morning emailing the Department of Justice a list of documents that they failed to redact. But at this point, it really seems deliberate. And that's why I need your help to get the word out. So repost this, do whatever you have to do. The Epstein Files Transparency Act and the law generally requires the protection of the victims, of the survivors. And based on everything I'm reviewing, that just didn't happen here. They are redacting names of perpetrators and keeping survivor names unredacted. And I don't know who to get this to, so spread the word. Please let them know. And if you're at the Department of Justice and you want to know which files, because I emailed them to you this morning, DM me. My DMs are wide open. The Department of Justice is deliberate.
Additionally, there are some files that they have put links, hyperlinks in, and they have released. And when the media has gone to the hyperlinks, they have been able to see what was on the links, and then the DOJ quickly removed the information from the link. So when they go back to the link, the information has been removed by the DOJ. So I thought that the Republicans were about law and order. I thought that Republicans cared so much about the children. It doesn't seem so much now. So this Department of Justice is just straight up lawless. Now, let me share Todd Blanche's press conference where he says the dumbest stuff, and where he lets you know that he will not be releasing all of the Epstein files. So you will hear the foolishness come out of his own mouth. Let's get into the Todd Blanche of it all, shall we? I think we shall. Okay. Okay, let's get into this. Wait a minute. I want to show you the press conference first. Hmm. 1 second. Here we go. Is that it? Is that it? Is that it? I think this is it. Yes. Hold on. I keep hitting the wrong link. I apologize. Bear with me. It's worth it. Okay, let's get to this. Let's get to the press conference where Todd Blanche lets you know that he is going to be the laws for the lawless. Yes, it is. Uh, Let me share this link with you. Because it's about the girls. It's about the children. This is his silly press conference. Let's get to it. Here we go. Now, this is the second in charge of the Department of Justice. Now, they're over 2 months late releasing these Epstein files. And this is what he's going to come out and tell you. They are to release everything, all field notes, all recommendations of prosecution, everything. He understands this. So let's see what he's going to tell you. Let me see. Oh, here we go.
Good morning. President Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act into law on November 19th, 2025, directing the Department of Justice to produce all documents, files, records, videos, and images related to the investigations and prosecutions of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm here today to talk about the department's compliance with its production obligations under the Act. Around, I think right now, and continuing throughout the day-to-day, as the indexing and uploading completes, we are producing responsive materials under the Act. We are also releasing...
We're releasing responsive material. He's about to tell you what the DOJ feels is responsive material. He didn't say we're releasing all of the material.
Today, a letter we are transmitting to Congress and various internal protocols associated with our review. I want to take a moment to thank the professionals at the Department of Justice who met twice daily, sometimes more, for the last 75 days to get to where we are today. The leadership teams from the office...
The past 75 days. But what happened to all of the overtime that the FBI were pulled off of child trafficking cases and drug cases? What happened to all of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that the FBI were paid for overtime to go in and scrub out 4547's name from the file months ago? You know, those files that Pam Bondi said that they had already been reviewed, and only to find out that agents were pulled off of actual cases to scrub 4547's name off of the Epstein file in some secret warehouse in Virginia. So, you've done something different in the last 75 days to these files. In addition to that, okay, I understand.
Of the Attorney General, from the Deputy Attorney General's office, the Associate Attorney General's office, the Criminal Division, the National Security Division, the FBI, the Southern District of Florida, the Southern District of New York, and the Northern District of New York all gave up many hours every single day on top of their other, of course, full-time obligations to fulfill the President Trump's promise of transparency to the American people.
So they kept their full-time job, and they did this as well. Do you think which job do you think was more paramount to this administration? Was it the real jobs that they were hired to do to keep you, the American citizen, safe, to prevent crime? You know, the same administration that tells you that they need our military in the street, our National Guard in the street, because crime is so prevalent. Now, do you think that they pull up these professionals, agents off of their jobs to continue to do their job and do the Epstein files? Or did they say, clean up these Epstein files and fuck this other job that you're actually was hired and paid to do to keep the American citizens safe? Which one do you think was more paramount? I'm just asking.
I also want to thank the more than 500 lawyers and professionals across all those divisions that I just mentioned and others who worked long days, nights, weekends, Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, nights, weekends, and holidays to complete this production. These highly trained reviewers spend their careers putting bad guys in jail and effectuating the mission of the department. And to a person, they work tirelessly to protect victims and comply with the act since its passage.
You know what? Okay, so how many times, how many ways is he's going to say that people came in and they had to do extra work to clean up the rich people and influential people's name out of these files? It's never going to be impressive. How many times are you going to have to say people who get paid to do their job were paid to do their job? How many times are you going to say that? Do you want us to pat these people on the back because you took them off of their real job to clean up these files? How many times are you going to have to say that it did work? How many times do American people have to do work? How many times do American people have to go to work on Christmas, New Year's, and all this shit? Do you want us to fucking whack their pings off because they did a job that they were paid to do? Well, actually, they were pulled off the job that they were paid to do to clean up 45, 47's and his friends and associates' name out of the Epstein file. Is that what you want, Todd Blanche? That's why they call it work. That's why they call it a job. You don't get no extra point for doing your motherfucking job.
So thank you to all of them. Today, we are producing more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images. In total, that means that the department produced approximately 3.5 million pages in compliance with the act. Just a quick note about the videos and images. The 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are not all videos and images taken by Mr. Epstein or someone around him. They include large quantities of commercial pornography and images that were seized from Epstein's devices, but which he did not take or that someone around him did not take. Some of the videos, though, and some of the images do appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or by others around him. Now, I want to talk for a few minutes about the department's document identification and review protocols. It consisted of multiple layers of review and quality control designed to ensure compliance under the act and protect victims.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about this thing that we tucked in that we're going to call quality control. You know, a made up term to protect the victims. You know, these victims whose names we left in under the list titled victims. You know, we did this. Let me explain to you why we were able to hold back approximately 3 million pages of information that we were supposed to release, is what he's saying.
On top of the review protocols that the department had in place, the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York employed an additional review protocol to ensure compliance with a court order requiring United States Attorney Jay Clayton to certify that with respect to certain materials, a large quantity of the materials, a rigorous process was undertaken to protect victims against any clearly unwarranted invasion of their personal privacy. The department's collection effort resulted in more than 6 million pages being identified as potentially responsive, including department and FBI emails, interview summaries, images, videos, and various other materials collected and generated during the various investigations and prosecutions that the act covered.
So, what I want to know is you identified 6 million pieces. Did you submit those 6 million pieces of evidence, which is what the law asks you for, required you to submit? You just said that it covered all boxes, but you only submitted half of those. Is there a reason, Todd?
We erred on the side of over-collection of materials from sources to best ensure maximum transparency and compliance, which necessarily means that the number of responsive pages is significantly smaller than the total number of pages initially collected. That's why I mentioned a moment ago we're releasing more than 3 million.
So you erred on the side of over collecting. Now, are we to believe that all of the information, all of the 6 million pages and documentation, are we to believe that Pam Bondi's DOJ, who was in office since February of one year, are we to believe that the Bondi DOJ collected 6 million pieces of evidence in a case that was sitting on a shelf for years? So they said, "Hey, we erred on the side of collecting more." You didn't collect anything. You did no collection of this evidence. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you hear what he just tried to make you believe? That, hey, we just erred on the side that we just wanted to make sure that we got everything. But when it came time to release it, we gave you half of what we collected. When in fact they did not collect the evidence. This evidence is old evidence that had been sitting on the shelf unreleased. Now, this is your Department of Justice. This is the second in command at the Department of Justice telling you this bullshit about people who preyed on underage girls. And they left and he wants you to believe they're trying to protect the victims as they X out of 4547's face very sloppily and very obviously. Let's continue.
Million pages today, and not the 6 million pages that smaller than the total number of pages initially collected. That's why I mentioned a moment ago we're releasing more than 3 million pages today, and not the 6 million pages that we collected.
Am I afraid to stand up to Donald Trump?
Oh, Marshall.
Please. I have to fight for my sister who relies on Medicare and SNAP, for our neighbors who are working full-time and still cannot afford health care and groceries. There's no fear, only fight.
Sorry.
I want to address what we didn't produce. The categories of documents withheld include those permitted under the Act to be withheld. Files that contain personally identifiable information of victims, or victims' personal and medical files, and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy.
So you mean to tell me you had 6 million pages of things, and half of them was identifying personal information of the victims? Not notes, not FBI field notes, not investigative notes. You mean to tell me that the investigative notes equal the identifiers of the victims? 3 million pages of shit? Todd, do you want me to believe this dumb shit? You can't even say this shit with a straight face. You are sitting up here sucking on your lip, parsing your words to come out and actually enunciate this ignorance that you're putting out. So my question to you is, are you okay with this? Are you okay with this? Are you buying this? Are you going on and talking about libtards and Biden? Do you really care about these children that you let your government uh, tell women what they can and cannot do with their bodies because you care so much about children? Do you think we don't see you? Let's continue.
Any depiction of CSAM or child pornography was obviously excluded. Anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. And finally, anything that depicts or contain images.
What active federal investigations are there? Anything that would interfere with active federal investigations. We know that Pam Bimbo always announce who is going to be investigated, who she's going to try to arrest on X. I didn't see any investigation notices on X from Pam Bimbo in regards to this Epstein stuff. So we're going to pretend like they are open federal investigations on this Epstein stuff. And you guys haven't announced it. Is that what we are to believe? Because we know if you are going to investigate anything on the Epstein stuff, you are going to, you were instructed to investigate Democrats. You know, when 45, 47 said that this was a Democrat fraud, when 45, 47 then turned around and said that it was a whole lot of Democrats who were going to be in the file. So which one is it? Is it a fraud that the Democrats concocted to? Is it Todd concocted all of this to food, candy? Which one is it? Is it a Democrat fraud, or is Democrats are the only ones who are in these alleged files? Okay.
Of death, physical abuse, or injury, also not produced. Although the act allows for withholding for items necessary to keep secret in the interest of national security or foreign policy, no files are being withheld or redacted on that basis. Further, as we previously stated in our December 19th letter of last year, the department withheld or redacted files covered by various privileges, as we always do, including deliberative process privilege, work product privilege, and attorney-client privilege. As you all know, under the Act, the department must subsequently...
How are you withholding things under attorney-client privilege? You're not the attorney for any of these people. You are the attorney for the United States government. You're not anyone's personal attorney. What is he talking about, attorney-client privilege? We do understand that Todd Blanche was prior to his uh, him being appointed as the Deputy Attorney General. He was in fact 4547's personal attorney. So what attorney-client privileges is he speaking of when it comes to the Epstein file? Because being the Assistant Attorney General does not make you the attorney for the sitting president. It makes you the attorney for the United States government, not the sitting president. Let's continue.
submit to the House and Senate committees on the judiciary a report listing all categories of records released and withheld, a summary of redactions made, including the legal basis for such redactions, and a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the Act. We will do so in due course as required under the Act. I want to talk for just a moment about the...
We will do so. Uh, You should have already had this done. He's talking about we will continue to put out any information that we feel in due time, and understand that this was supposed to have been submitted over 2 months ago. They're over 2 months late. And they're over 1 month late explaining the details of the redactions that they've made. That is also something that they must do. Now he's sitting up here talking as if we'll do this in our due time. Your DOJ is breaking the law while ignoring your constitutional rights. Let's be real clear on this.
redactions that will be obvious to anyone who reviews the materials that we just produced today. In addition to the documentary redactions, which includes personal identifying information, victim information, and other privileges, there is extensive redactions to images and videos. To protect victims, We redacted every woman depicted in any image or video, with the exception of Ms. Maxwell. We did not redact images of any men, unless it was impossible to redact the woman without also redacting the man. To this end, though, and to ensure transparency, if any member of Congress wishes to review any portions of the responsive production in any unredacted form, they're welcome to make arrangements with the department to do so, and we're happy to do that.
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, and I'm the CEO.
I want to talk for a minute about something that is important. Every single day of the year, the Department of Justice investigates and prosecutes those who abuse and traffic young women and children. Just last year, the FBI located over 2,700 victims of child exploitation. The Department of Justice found and terminated 3.8 million dark web pedophile accounts. In August, we charged 11 defendants for extensive sex trafficking in Los Angeles of illegal immigrants and underage women. Last month, we charged 5 men who were engaged in a sadistic sextortion network of deranged young men abusing women. Over the past several months, last summer and into the fall, we executed Operation Restore Justice, rescuing 205 child victims and arresting 293 offenders. I point this out because I take umbrage at the suggestion, which is totally false, that the Attorney General or this department does not take child exploitation or...
1 second. This wild heart, bitch, do you think no, that's, Levain. Hold on. Who was it is? I will be sued for what? Who do you think you are talking to about freedom of speech? I will be sued for what exactly? What am I going to be sued for exactly? Hey, Big Brenda, if you don't get your silly ass out of my chat, I have said nothing that I can be sued for, you silly ass bitch. Ugh. Okay. Let me delete some comments here. Hey, Jackson Street. Hello to everyone who came in. Oh, wow, Howard, I had you mixed up with that other trollop in here talking dumb shit. Okay, I apologize.
sex trafficking seriously, or that we somehow do not want to protect victims. We do. There are some select members of Congress and some in the public eye, including those most critical of our efforts at full transparency under the Act, who remain silent as to all the work that we have done and continue to do every day in this space, while quickly pointing a finger at the Attorney General or this department because we were careful in our review of millions of pages of documents over the past 2 months.
We were careful over the past few months. We were being careful as we submitted pages with the victims' names fully on them on this release that we are releasing today. Full list of the victims, and he's saying he was careful and trying to make up a reason why they have withheld over 3 million files that they were ordered to release by what law? law.
The Attorney General, the Director of the FBI, and our partners throughout this administration work hard every single day to protect the most vulnerable among us. With the production of this magnitude, mistakes are inevitable. We, of course, want to immediately correct any redaction errors that our team may have made. And so the department has established an email inbox for victims to reach us directly to correct redactions and any concerns when appropriate. That's been in existence since December, and we've been doing that since then. Finally, a very small portion of the documents collected pursuant to the Act include materials that a law firm produced to the SDNY in 2019 pursuant to a grand jury subpoena. This was during the criminal investigation of Ms. Maxwell.
Watch what salt does to your knees.
Why does Grandpa yell, ow, 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 every time he bends his knees?
We determined it would be prudent to seek an order from the court in the Southern District of New York seeking production of these materials subject to the protective order in that civil lawsuit. To that end, the department has filed that motion with the appropriate judge in the
So you have been ordered to turn over all investigative documents, but when it came to Miss Maxwell, the Miss Maxwell who you personally went to visit, a job that is below your pay grade, you did not send someone from your office. No, you personally went and visited her. And days later, she was set up in a cupcake prison where she's even bossing the warden around. She's having people come visit her anytime she wants. She is much happier. She is getting all these food delivery systems, and she has hijacked one of the puppies that they train in that cupcake prison. That Ghislaine Maxwell, you are telling us why you didn't submit the information that you had on her indictment. Is that what you're saying, Todd Blanche? Because we must keep the person who was convicted by a jury of her peers. We must continue to keep her happy. Why? I don't know. Why she's in a prison that people who are found guilty of SAing someone are not allowed to be in. But for the visit from you, Todd Blanche, she is in that prison. But you want us to believe that the Bureau of Prisons is the reason she's in that prison when it's against the laws and terms of the Bureau of Prisons to have a SAer in that type of prison, Todd Blanche? So you still think we're crazy, Todd Blanche? Is that what you're saying? You have withheld all of her fucking information. You don't want the world to know her information. But a jury knew all of that information. And what did the jury do? They found her guilty on SA charges. But they're trying to pay Q by half. Let's continue.
SDNY. And if that motion is granted, we'll release those materials with appropriate redactions immediately. Today's release marks the end of a very comprehensive document identification and review process to ensure transparency to the American people and compliance with the Act. The department has engaged in an unprecedented and extensive effort to do so. After submitting the final report to Congress as required under the Act and publishing the written justifications for redactions in the Federal Register, the department's obligations under the Act will be completed. I'm happy to take any questions anybody has about that.
Todd, I'd like to ask you about this, and I have a Minnesota question for you. On the Epstein release today, it was recently made public that Ghislaine Maxwell claims more than 24 men signed secret agreements with the federal government not to be prosecuted. What is your reaction to that, and what does that mean for her case?
I read an article that described, I wasn't aware that it was actual men that she's claiming. I thought it was accomplices, which I'm not sure if that's a reference to some of the financial institutions or other individuals that
2025.
So yes, I don't have a reaction to her filing. I can tell you that we reviewed, as I just described, every single piece of paper that we have associated with these investigations, Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, and to the extent that such arrangements exist, I'm not aware of them.
On to Minnesota, if I may ask you real quick. That's in the topic in the headlines right now. There's new video of a man believed to be Alex Preddy, who's spitting, who's kicking out a taillight of a law enforcement vehicle. Does that change the perception of a potential DOJ investigation? Is there going to be a civil rights investigation into his death? Where does that land now that video's out? Then I have a quick follow-up on that.
So look, I don't think a single video should change any perception the Department of Justice may or may not have about that tragic occurrence last Saturday. We've said,
oh my God.
repeatedly over the past week that, of course, this is something that we're investigating, and we are. That's what we would always do in circumstances like this. And so there's an investigation that's ongoing, which I'm not going to talk about. But just look, the problem is an initial reaction to a particular video, one or another. You're talking about one that happened apparently some days ahead of last Saturday.
I'm going to go through, fast forward through this. I definitely want to stay on topic. I don't know why that reporter doesn't want to.
Has the best experts in the world at this. They've been doing it for decades, and so I expect that investigation will proceed with those parameters in mind.
Are you looking at a nexus of left-wing groups? This DOJ said that that's something that you guys were concerned about. Are you following money? Are you looking at a potential that all of this may be related somewhere?
I mean, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Attorney General. You said in your remarks that you've withheld some documents because of ongoing investigations. I've done this long enough to know you can't comment on ongoing investigations, but can you say a little bit more? Because you know the department has been criticized for not bringing charges against more people. Are there still open investigations related to Jeffrey Epstein?
Also, we have to understand that Kash Patel sat before Congress and said that no girls were trafficked to anyone. This was what Kash Patel bought his cocky ass, all of that being belligerent when asked questions about this. He said that there were no other people who Epstein trafficked these young girls too. So what you're investigating? But now all of a sudden, when it's time to put the files out, they want to motion to an investigation that they have never announced. Let's continue.
So what I was laying out in my comments is the statutory, what the statute talks about what we can withhold and the reasons we can withhold it. I wasn't pointing to any particular. I wasn't trying to.
Oh, you weren't trying to say that there was an investigation. You were talking about the statutory limitations, the time that you would have to investigate something. So, therefore, you can break the law if you can say, well, statutorily, I still have time to bring a case. If you statutorily still had time to bring a case, why aren't you bringing the case right now?
Be coy or otherwise.
You are trying to be coy because you're alluding to an investigation. And now when they ask you about the investigation, you're talking about a statutory time that you have. So if you think that there is something that you would be able to prosecute, why aren't you investigating it now? This is some bullshit. This is some bullshit. If you got something now, you should be investigating it now. I don't want to hear about statutory time. That's a stall tactic. This is the greatest bullshit. Oh my god.
Guys suggest there's some investigation. As you all know, Jay Clayton in New York is in charge of any potential investigations, and I'm not going to comment beyond that on that.
Clayton.
Excuse me?
You were referring to Clayton's investigation.
I wasn't referring to anything. I was just saying that Congress, in their wisdom, allowed us to withhold documents if there were ongoing criminal investigations. That's one of the 4 reasons I wanted to make clear with respect to any national security information that we were not with.
As I refer to Jay Clayton in the Southern District of New York. Oh, so you're referring to his investigation? No, I'm not referring to anything. A bunch of gobble bullshit.
Holding. There's not some tranche of super secret documents about Jeffrey Epstein that we're withholding. We're actually not withholding anything based upon NDI.
Deputy Attorney General Prince, thank you for your time. 2 questions for you.
This is how to
Oh,
tell that
God.
olive oil is fake.
Number 3,
I apologize.
If you can find.
Number 1, pushing politics aside and everyone else aside, some of the victims of Epstein have expressed frustration with the entire process. I want to give you the opportunity to speak directly to them.
Well, I don't know what you're speaking to. I mean, if there's frustration with, quote, the entire process, same here. I mean, you have a situation where for many years nobody even breathed a word about Jeffrey Epstein, and then all of a sudden it was all anybody would talk about going into the last spring and summer, culminating in the passage of the.
Why is that? Because 4547 said he would release when he was campaigning. He said that he would release the files. Who was the only ones talking about it? 4547's voters. Those are the people who were talking about it. Now we are to believe. We're gonna try to pretend like it is the other side. The non-Trump voters are the ones who bought this up. No, your own constituents bought this up. Your own influencers that you bought to the White House and gave a bunch of shit that had already been released and was redacted to the gods. So who made this a thing? Your own administration. Pam Bimbo was the one who gave out the fake Epstein binders to brain dead YouTubers who stood in front of the White House cheesing and taking pictures of some shit that had already been released 2 years ago. Now, all this insinuation and all of this, why didn't this one release it? Because they never said they were going to release it. Why didn't you ask for it to be released? Well, I don't recall any clamoring for these things to be released under Biden. Why didn't Obama release it? Why Obama wasn't president when half of this shit went on. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested the second time under 4547 administration. So now all of a sudden, Obama should have released the files on something that he wasn't even president for. Y'all want Obama to release the Epstein files because you're stupid. Because you don't even know what's going on. Because it's easier to always blame a black man for the white man's crime. But you don't ask the same thing of why isn't Trump, the man who said he was going to release them, why isn't his administration releasing them? Happy Black History Month. As I noted before, all of this trying to demagogue black people, I understand why you guys try to demagogue black people, people who have had every opportunity, who have cheated their way through lives. I understand that you hate the greatness of black people who show you up on the daily. I understand that. Let's keep it above. No one's concerned about that. No one believes your bullshit. It only soothes your hurt feelings that you're so inferior. That's why you have to buck up on this fake superiority because you know you don't cut the mustard. Let's continue. You buy into the bullshit and you always want to blame someone else for you being insufficient.
Transparency Act, and President Trump has said for years what I think everybody will find to be exactly true, which is detailing his relationship and lack thereof with Mr. Epstein, and what he thought about Mr. Epstein, and notwithstanding what the department has been saying for a very long time, we're still where we are today.
Hold on. Let me see. You are so racist. You're a sick part of USA destruction. Sweetheart, black people cannot be racist because black people control no power structures to deny access to anyone. You don't even know what racism is, you stupid person. You're so stupid. All of this trying to blame me telling the truth about you and trying to call that racism. No, sweetheart, that is not racism. To be a racist, you have to hold power and be able to restrict other races from access to things like housing, to things like banking, to things like education. Try to get some education and you would really know what racism is. And you would not sit up and try to think that you're affecting any type of feeling, any type of disdain for a black person being racist, because it is absolutely impossible for black Americans to be racist. So try harder. Let's continue.
Listen, victims of Mr. Epstein have gone through unspeakable pain, and there's nobody that should say anything differently. And I to the extent that there's frustration, I understand where that comes from, just from what we know about Mr. Epstein. I hope that the work that the men and women within this department have done over the past 2 months hopefully is able to bring closure. I think that what we told our reviewers is that was the goal. There's this mantra out there that the Department of Justice is supposed to protect Donald J. Trump, and that's what we were telling. That's not true. That was never the case. We are always concerned about the victims. When we said that we were not legally allowed to release documents, that's a fact. That was true. It remains true today. And then with the Act's passage, we are able now and directed to release documents, which is what we are doing. But so hopefully some of those frustrations are now eased. Listen, any victim that wants to speak with the department has done so. Hopefully, if not, they should. The prosecutors from this case and
Dun Data 2. George Washington taught his slaves trades. What trade did George Washington have to be able to teach a slave a trade? I'll wait. I'll wait to hear what great tradesman was George Washington, that he was the one who taught trades to Africans. You're so stupid that you don't even know that the Africans built this country. You don't even understand that these slave owners picked up Africans from different parts of Africa because they were already skilled in the trades that were needed in America. So you think that George Washington was some tradesman and that he sat down and taught Africans trades? Are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, I I just hate that I have to uh, teach you the obvious. You think that people who couldn't even develop America sat down and taught somebody else a trade when they didn't have it within themselves? Uh, uh, this is why. This is why Black history is so needed in the United States of America. Because you sit down and think that George Washington was skilled in a trade. That he taught the slaves. If he knew the trade himself, they wouldn't have needed slaves. They wouldn't needed slaves to come over here and teach them how to make America what it may, the best economy. They wouldn't have needed slaves. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you people are just continue to show how uneducated and dumb you really are. Let's continue. Let's continue. But you now they're talking about slaves because they don't want to talk about how this Department of Justice is hiding these Epstein files that you guys know 45, 47 is all up and in through. We are going to ignore all of these. Um, the woman who came out and talked about this disappeared girl, a girl who has been disappeared, and is saying that she was essayed by 45, 47, and Epstein, and subsequently has disappeared. Oh, y'all don't want to talk about any of that. Y'all didn't hear about that? Y'all don't want to talk about, y'all talking about slavery. Y'all talking about slavery and you don't even know shit about slavery. Y'all trying to exhort some superiority to ignore the depravity of your own people. We're not going to ignore the depravity of your people. The simple fact that your people had slaves, you don't understand how depraved your people really are. You don't even understand that that is the one of the main depravities of your people, and you're trying to say that your people did something for the people that they enslaved when your fucking people couldn't survive without people that they always are fucking abusing. Are you serious? And you think that that bullshit is gonna fly? And understand, this is why Black Americans need to be sure that they instill the factual history into the youth that are coming up. Because these dummies actually believe this dumb shit that they are writing in here. I don't even believe that they think that they are lying. I think that they actually believe this dumb shit. This is why African American history is so important. Happy Black History Month. I will be here every day giving you more facts about Black history. Be sure that you pass it on. Because some people can't understand. They think that their brutality makes them superior when they are a bunch of dummies. Let's continue.
New York have given hundreds, if not thousands, of hours to working with victims, and that's what we do every day, and that's what we did in this case as well. So,
very quickly, can you assure the American public that President Trump, like every other prominent person whose name came up in relation to the Epstein files?
Here's something most drivers don't know. The older your car, the cheaper your insurance should be.
Can you assure the American public that President Trump, like every other prominent person whose name came up in relation to the Epstein files, that all documents, photos, anything relevant to him connected to the case are being released?
I mean, yes, I can assure that we complied with the statute, we complied with the act, and there is no, we did not protect President Trump. We didn't protect or not protect anybody. I mean, I think that there's a hunger or a thirst for information that I do not think will be satisfied by the review of these documents. And
There's a hunger and thirst for these documents that will not be satisfied by these documents. He said that they did nothing to protect 4547. This link is going to be in my description box under the heading DOJ. Did you or did you not do anything to protect 4547? Let's find out, shall we? A very easy one. Let's find out. Let me see. Is this the one? Let me see. Here we are. They did nothing to protect 4547. Let me share this screen with you. The lie that sat up there and lied to your faces, that they did nothing to protect 4547. Well, what is this then? Is this the one? Yes, what is this then? Here we go.
Here it's redacted. Here it isn't. Same picture. If anyone wants to fact check me, the Bates number for this Epstein file is EFTA 016155550. This violation of the law. Because you're actually not allowed to redact Donald Trump in the files. There's also no reason for that redaction. It's literally a picture from the supporting article. It just shows you how truly incompetent in a lot of ways this DOJ was when making these redactions. I'll continue to provide you updates as we get more information, so spread the word and follow along for more news to come. We have some news right now. The Department of Justice redacted Donald Trump's face in the Epstein files we just caught. Remember, at the same time, they didn't redact a number of pictures of survivors and names of survivors. This is a real Epstein file. Look at that face. See, it's redacted? It's from this. That picture is from this Politico story. Here's the picture. Gee, I wonder who that is. Here it's redacted. Here it isn't. Same picture. If anyone wants to fact check me, the Bates number for this Epstein file is EFTA 016155550. This violation of the law. Because you're actually not allowed to redact Donald Trump in the files. There's also no reason for that redaction. It's literally a picture from...
Are we clear? Are we clear that this Department of Justice think that they are 4547's personal lawyer and they are going through and redacting his images from these files, and while the victims of their names and photographs have been released? Are we clear on that? You should be clear. Those are the exact same pictures, you stupid. He just showed you the pictures. Oh my God. Are we clear on that? All of us who don't drink orange Kool-Aid clear, The victims have names and photographs have been left in these Epstein files, while 45, 47 involvement has been whitewashed away from these files, and while over 3 million pieces have been kept by the DOJ and not released under the law that says they must be released. Are we clear on that? Now, let's get back into what does that law actually say that they must release. Let's be clear on what the law says must be released by this DOJ, and let's see if they are complying. Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. I think I will go here. Here, let's start here. Let me start. Todd Blanche was on the Sunday shows as well. So let's start with CNN. Dana Black, Dana Bash of all people, was able to stick his back up against the wall on all of that bullshit that he was speaking. Let me share my screen with you. Here we go.
General Todd Blanche. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I want to start with the Epstein files. Elon Musk, who is mentioned in some of these files, wrote, quote, "What matters is not the release of some subset of Epstein files, but rather the prosecution of those who committed heinous crimes with Epstein. When there is at least one arrest, some justice will have been done. If not, this is all performative, nothing but a distraction." Is the Department of Justice considering bringing any additional charges here?
Well, look, I can't talk about any investigations, but I will say the following, which is that in July, the Department of Justice said that we had reviewed the files, the quote Epstein files, and there was nothing in there that allowed us to prosecute anybody. We then released over 3.5 million pieces of paper, which the entire world can look at now and see if we got it wrong. And so
You release 3.5 pieces of paper, and the American people can look at it and see if you got it wrong. But how will they be able to know that you got it wrong when you also said that you did not release 3.5 million pieces of paper as well? How are the American people, half of them who are so stupid, half of them who read at a sixth grade level, are going to look at what you decided to parse out against what you decided to hide from the American people and figure out if you have something to prosecute? How are the American people who are so uneducated, who are so dumb that when they go in to talk to the police and they are read their Miranda rights, they sit up there and yap, yap, yip, yap, 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 their mouths off and are shocked that they are brought up on charges and exactly what the Miranda rights says. Anything you say can and will be used you in a court of law, and they're shocked. You mean the American people are the ones who are to decide this? The American people who you guys decide that the Department of Education is no longer needed to protect the rights of even the most vulnerable people who go to U.S. schools? Really? Okay, let's continue.
it's not performative, and I respectfully disagree with that statement. We were ordered to do the paper, which the entire world can look at now and see if we got it wrong. And so it's not performative, and I respectfully disagree with that statement. We were ordered to do so by Congress. And
you're getting paid to do a job. You're the highest officer in the land, and you're getting paid to do this job. You're not doing this job for free. But now the American people can sit up and decide if you're doing it wrong. So what's going to happen if the American people decide that you're doing this job that you're paid to do, if they decide that you're doing the job wrong? Make any of this make sense? See how they can say the most ignorant shit because they have such dumb followers. They have such mind dead followers that they can come out and blow a smoke up your ass and think that they are turning it. Say the most ridiculous bullshit. And these motherfuckers will continue to talk about issues, but they will not talk about the bullshit that these people are trying to blow up your ass. These people who care so much about the children.
then by the President of the United States, and that's what we did. And let me, I said it on Friday. This Justice Department, the FBI, DHS, we have gone after more sex traffickers, more child pornographers, more men who have done harm to children and young women than any administration in history. And so we need to separate those two ideas: the fact that there's the Epstein files and whether there's anybody there that we can go after, and the work that we are doing every day, which is extraordinary, and we will continue to do that.
Among these new files is a list compiled by the FBI just in August of numerous salacious and, to be really clear, unverified allegations about President Trump. Why did the FBI create this list last year, and have all of these claims been investigated by the DOJ?
So look, it's not about President Trump. It's about a ton of people, multiple people that were, quote, in the Epstein files. And what I think folks will see when they review the materials we released is that there have been hundreds of calls made to the FBI where allegations are made by either anonymous individuals or people who are very quickly determined to not be credible, whether it's the nature of what they're saying or the fact they won't provide any information or corroboration. And that's part of the Epstein files.
I do want to move on. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon and another journalist, Georgia Fort, were arrested on Friday on charges they violated federal law during a tense protest at a Minnesota church. A conservative federal judge, somebody who clerked for Antonin Scalia, already had rejected those warrants and wrote that there is no evidence that those two engaged in any criminal behavior or conspired to do so. Then an appeals court held up that decision. Why did you then bring this case to a grand jury after it already had been rejected by multiple judges?
So first of all, that appeals court, you're not right. The appeals court, a judge on the appeals court said that there was clearly probable cause. There was absolutely probable cause that a crime had been committed. Okay, so it's true that they rejected the mandamus petition, but yes, by Mr. Lemon and others, it's public. And so, yes, you're right. A judge in that court had said there wasn't probable cause. But guess what? Our system doesn't allow judges to make that decision. They can make that decision to get an arrest warrant on a complaint, but only a grand jury can bring forth an indictment. And so that's what we did. We went to a grand jury, which, as you know, are 25 citizens from Minneapolis and around that decide whether there's probable cause. And that's who returned an indictment.
Mr. Blanche, I want to go, actually, I went through the entire indictment, all 29 alleged overt acts of conspiracy. And there's a lot to ask you about, but I'm just going to pick a few here, okay? Starting with overt act number 20, which says, quote, defendant Lemon told his live stream audience about congregants leaving the church and about a young man who Lemon could see was frightened, scared, and crying. And Lemon observed that the congregants' reactions were understandable because the experience was traumatic and uncomfortable, which he said was the purpose. Overt Act 21 says, quote, as the operation continued, defendant Lemon acknowledged the nature of it by expressing surprise that the police hadn't yet arrived at the church and admitted knowing that the whole point of the operation was to disrupt. Why wouldn't a jury at trial see this as a journalist observing what is happening, which is protected by the First Amendment.
I get canceled for saying this, but most of the emotional weight that you carry
I
every single day
apologize.
is stuff that you were never meant to hold.
Well, you conveniently left out multiple allegations in that indictment about what else Mr. Lemon did, including surreptitiously avoiding saying where they were going, being part of the planning.
Okay. It seems like this administration has been upholding what has been going on in Gaza for far too long. You know, I believe it's over 200 press were lost their lives while trying to get the news out that was going on in Gaza. It seems like this is what this administration find appealing. You forget they didn't tell us where they were going. Where was he supposed to? Or was he supposed to be out there doing his job since you don't find it necessary to do the job that pays you? So he's supposed to be doing his job and alerting you about where the story is. No, he's supposed to be out there doing his job. And isn't it a coincidence that the only people who were arrested, the only media that was arrested, the media were black people? Black media. People who are trying to get you the story. Now, we know that Status Quo has been out there, and I am not calling for any media to be arrested. But you don't find it suspicious that 4 black journalists were arrested. And don't you find it suspicious that they are so insulted that a protest happened in a church, a white nationalist church at that? Aren't you surprised that they are so upset about that happening at a church of worship? But they have no qualms about ICE going into church where Hispanic people pray and worship, and rounding up people and taking them away. They have no problem with ICE going into churches. So are we going to pretend like they give a fuck about a church? Are we going to pretend like this is about the sanctity of your house of worship? No. No, it's not. This is trying to put fear into the press from getting the facts out to you. You know how they have done ABC News with all of these bullshit lawsuits. So now you have that what is her name? Now you have that fucking what is her name? What is her name? That Shield running ABC News, and ABC News ratings have fallen off a cliff. Because she has been pulling stories unless Stephen Miller gets a chance to comment on the story and all of this dumb shit. What is her name? Oh, I see her face, unfortunately. Anyway, so we're arresting a black journalist now.
Being part of the decisions to make sure the police didn't know this was happening and federal law enforcement didn't know this is happening. There are multiple allegations.
So what you're saying is Don Lemon was supposed to give his sources to the police. Don Lemon was supposed to be an informant for the police as he's doing his story. So if he doesn't inform the police about his story, therefore you can arrest him for a crime. Is that what you're saying? And what you're saying made absolutely no sense. Because a judge in Minnesota would not sign the warrant. Why did you have to arrest Don Lemon in California as he's doing pre-shows for the Grammy? Because you went to Missouri And you got a fucking Missouri judge to put a warrant out on Don Lemon to arrest him. Why would you have to go to Missouri? Missouri. To get a warrant for Minnesota. And we don't see this for what it is. Let's continue. He didn't alert the police about it. He kept it a secret. What if the people who were investigating Watergate alerted the police? Police, I think somebody is breaking into Watergate, and we finna go over there and we're gonna cover the story. Is that how the media work? You do your own motherfucking job. While you got FBI agents clearing 4547's name off of the Epstein files, you got time to pay FBI agents to do that shit. But Don Lemon's supposed to alert you about the protests? Is that what we're doing? Bitch, bye.
There, and guess what? He gets to have a lawyer and he gets to have a defense. And so if he wants to go forward with the defense that, oh, shucks, I was just a journalist, he can do that. But obviously, as the indictment lays out, and which you didn't read on the air, there's a lot of things that Mr. Lemon did that you would never do as a journalist. You would never do that.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
This is not about me. This is
What? What are these things? What are these things? There's a lot of things Mr. Lemon did that you would never do. For example.
about what happened, and this is about kind of the rules of the road. I mean, there are many.
Wait,
let me finish my question. Let me finish my question, and then you have the floor. There are countless examples of when reporters are embedded with people with, DOD, where we are told not to tell anybody where we're going. There are numerous examples of when we get embargoed information that we can't report from your agency, for example, and that has happened on with presidents in both parties, and we withhold reporting it until you say it's time to report it. That's not unusual, and it's not unlike what happened with Don Lemon and Georgia Fort.
Well, listen, you are totally correct that happens every day, and it's happened for decades. But if you watch what Mr. Lemon did, okay, and I do not want to have a trial right here. It's not fair to him. But I will say.
But if you watch what Don Lemon did, but what you just said is Don Lemon, what he allegedly did. So when she tells you that is commonplace in the media, but if you watch what he did, and I'm not gonna try this in the media. That's exactly what you're trying to do. You put out there as if Don Lemon did something illegal, and he did something that you would never do. And she turned around and said, "We do this all the time in the media." And now all of a sudden, Don Lemon has done some things that I noticed you didn't say that. I noticed you didn't say that either. I noticed that you didn't say that either, because Don Lemon reported the news as the news has always been reported. And you just thought that this is a good time to put this uppity Negro in his place.
That if you watch the publicly available live streaming that he engaged in, the comments that he made, I mean, that's what it matters, right? It matters, like, how do we balance the FACE Act? How do we balance freedom of religion, the right of people to worship on a Sunday morning, okay? And the freedom.
Understand, the FACE Act has nothing to do with religion, with church. The FACE Act is to protect women who were going to get possibly abortion, going to different abortion clinics with the understanding that they think that Planned Parenthood was an abortion clinic alone. They didn't understand that Planned Parenthood was for all different type of women's health issues. So to keep these crazies who were out there bombing these clinics, attacking these women, trying to physically keep them from going in to see their doctor for whatever their health care need that they had. That's the reason for the FACE Act. Now, this is what Don Lemon was charged for, the FACE Act, as if he was putting his hand on people, trying to prevent them from uh, having health care. That if he, like he was putting his hands on people, trying to prevent them from going into their house of worship. He did it, none of that. As a matter of fact, one of the people from the church came up and put their hands on him, and he told him, please don't touch me. Put your hands off of me. Don't touch me. This is what the FACE Act is. For you who don't know what the FACE Act is, this is what this man has been charged under. And we would be remiss if the what is her name? The DOJ of the Civil Rights Division initially came out and said that they would be looking to see if they could charge him under the Ku Klux Klan Act. You know, the Ku Klux Klan Act that was put in place because so many black people were being terrorized by the Klan. That is one of the things that they were also looking to charge Don Lemon with. And that was announced on Dr. King's holiday, that they were looking to charge him under the Ku Klux Klan Act. But y'all think that this is a coincidence. Y'all think that Don Lemon actually did something illegal, as this white nationalist church was protested, as they only as they only arrested black journalists who covered this story. Let's continue.
Of the press. And it's a balance that we have to engage in. I agree with you. But my point to you is that I promise you that neither you nor your colleagues can honestly, with a straight face, if you watch everything that he did in the day before with the planning and the day of with what happened, when the comments he made while the kids were crying and screaming and racing away, while the parents were looking for their children upstairs,
but he doesn't
while they were just trying to have a church service.
Okay. Bottom line question for you is, was this really about what you just described, or was it about trying to make an example out of somebody who the president has sparred with?
You've been promised incredible things.
I apologize
but has it actually lived up
for the commercial.
I can promise.
I don't even know that the president's even.
Is it about trying to make an example out of somebody who the president has sparred with?
I don't even know that the president's even ever thought of Don Lemon. I don't know whether that's true or not. But I will tell you, we're not making examples of people. The day after that happened, the Attorney General flew to Minneapolis. She was there for 3 days. What we saw, there is no scenario under which the American people are comfortable or think that that was right. I'm sorry. So no, it's not about making an example. It's
I want to
about
move on.
justice.
I want to move on. But the White House, on the official Twitter handle, celebrated his arrest with the media and a chain emoji, and it's pretty clear that they're very well aware in the White House of this. I want to ask about Georgia.
No, I didn't say they weren't aware. Wait. Hold on one second.
And
I
they were
didn't say they weren't
celebrating.
aware.
That was afterwards.
You said that. No. You said that President Trump had some vendetta or something against Mr. Lemon. I said I don't know whether he even ever thought of Mr. Lemon. I have no idea.
Yesterday,
You're
he
right,
called
there
him a
was
sleazebag.
a tweet that went out.
Just so you know, he called him a sleazebag just yesterday.
After his arrest. After his arrest.
Okay. You said a lot of things before that, and it's mutual. But let me move on to Georgia. Earlier this week, the FBI went into the elections office in Fulton County, Georgia, to seize 2020 ballots, voter rolls, scanner images, and the president told reporters, quote, "They got into the votes. You're going to see some interesting things happening." What interesting things is he talking about, and why was he so involved in an FBI and DOJ raid?
And why was Tulsi Gabbard allowed to go into a truck alone with these votes? What exactly will be found in these 2020 votes? And why are we trying to pretend like this is normal? Why are we trying to pretend? What about these states' rights? States have the rights over their all of their voting. Their ballots. These are rights that the state has. There are no federal voting guidelines other than the non-discrimination. You know that shit that they try to continue to claw back to make sure that black people are do not get represented by their votes. Uh, why was Tulsi Gabbard, what is her name? Tulsi Gilbert or whatever, Gabbard. Why was she allowed to go into uh, a truck where all of these votes were stored? What are we supposed to be finding out about these ballots? This is the same Georgia where Ruby Freeman and her Shay Moss, her daughter, were awarded. I think over $100 million from that lying ass Rudy Giuliani, who said that they were exchanging something on a thumb drive and they were passing it around like it was crack cocaine. Remember how they won that defamation suit about from him, which he has not fully paid, where he tried to protect his Palm Beach a condo from being sold because that he thought that it was just okay to defame these black women who were doing doing their justice to their community by working at the voter rolls. So, are we going to pretend like 45, 47 didn't call and tell, well, I forget his name, Rathenberger, that he just needed to find him I think 11,000 and some odd votes, and that's all I need from you. Told him, you need to find these votes, and I don't care where they come from. But you are now supposed to find out something devastating about what happened in Georgia. We already know the devastating shit that happened in Georgia. So, how much of your tax dollar is going towards all of these agents going in to Georgia? And Georgia, an election that he lost, that he was trying to get another Republican to do some illegal shit to find some votes from somewhere. How much of your tax dollar is going to this? Do you know? Do you know? All of the work hours that was put in, all of the trucks that were bought in to take all of the ballots, machines, and all of this out of Georgia. So what do you think that's going to happen in the midterm election? What do you think is going to happen in the midterm elections? From a man who said that he only regrets that he did not take all the voting machines away in the swing states in 2020. Do you think that he's going to take the voting machines away in 2026 after the election? So if suddenly we're gonna find something so different 6 years after the 2020 election, what do you think you're gonna find in the 2026 election? From a man who is putting the National Guards on the street, who is putting these ICE agents on the streets that are following no laws, that are trampling over your constitutional rights, that are entering your homes without a judicial warrant, saying that they don't need one when in fact they do. So while you guys sit up and think that all of this dumb shit is cute, your rights are being trampled over. I don't recall any black African Americans being shot down in the streets. See, your people are being shot down in the streets because you are the apologist for this type of activity when it happened to black people all the time. You always found an excuse why the black person was wrong when you saw absolutely no wrong. But now, when your people find something to protest, after your people were the ones who put this maniac back in office, now it's happening to you. And since you guys have decided to normalize the fucking unnatural shit that goes on in America, now it is raining down on you. But some of you are such sheep that you don't even notice. Some of you are so stupid that you don't even know what your rights in as an American citizen are. So you have no problem with Todd Blanche or some lackey coming on TV telling you what everything that they're doing is right. But you guys finally had a problem when they start talking about that Second Amendment of rights. That that Pretty guy, what is his name? Pretty, the guy who was shot. He didn't have the right to have his gun on him. A gun that he had all the proper permitting to have on him. Well, he shouldn't have wanted to a protest. Well, if he has a concealed carry permit, that means he can conceal carry wherever he goes in that state. But your administration tried to make it seem like no. Even if you have a concealed carry, if you are doing everything by the law, you shouldn't be able to have your weapon on you when the law allows it. That's what this administration told you. But then some of you Trumpians got upset about that and was like, hold on, and didn't they start playing that great savior of yours, Charlie Kirk, who told you that the Second Amendment right is not to what did he say? Your Second Amendment right is to have if your government becomes a tyrannic what is it? Tyrannic or what is it? A tyrant to go up against a tyranny in your government. Isn't that what they started playing? That the great patriot Charlie Kirk told you about your Second Amendment rights. And then y'all all fell in line. Oh, the dear patriot Saint Charlie Kirk said that, we had to have our gun rights for tyranny. Just us. Just us. Isn't this the same DOJ that said that you shouldn't bring your piece, even if it's lawful, you shouldn't bring it concealed on your body with your permit? You shouldn't do that. He shouldn't have done that. Aren't these the same people who cheered on Carl Rittenhouse, who crossed state lines with I believe it was no, not an AK. What did he have? With an assault rifle that was purchased for him by someone else, a straw purchase, and was walking down the street with that rifle hanging over his chest. But y'all didn't find any problem with Kyle Rittenhouse doing it because the protest was about a black man who was unalived by a police officer. And y'all felt that these protesters were leftists. So all of a sudden Kyle Rittenhouse was all within his rights to do what he did. Didn't it work out like that? Y'all having problems now. That this white man who did everything right by the law was shot down. Now here's another thing. Here's another thing that I am very curious about how you feel. How do you feel about the names that have come out about the two agents who unalived this law-abiding, Second Amendment right having white man? Ramirez was one of the names. I forget his name. Something Ramirez and Jose. The other guy's first name was Jose or Miguel or someone else. So isn't it ironic that these ICE agents are put on the street to do God knows whatever to whomever because y'all want these brown people off of the street? Isn't it ironic? Isn't it ironic that the good Second Amendment toting palm colored man was the one who were gunned down by Ricky Ricardo and Ricky Ricardo and who else? Mario Lopez. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that ironic? You don't find that that's ironic? I find that that's quite ironic. Let's go.
Well, just because he said that doesn't mean that he's involved. I don't believe.
They got into the votes. You're going to see some interesting things happening. What interesting things is he talking about, and why was he so involved in an FBI and DOJ raid?
Well, just because he said that doesn't mean that he's involved. I don't believe he was involved. This is a criminal grand jury investigation, and I can't comment on it beyond what you just said, which is that there was a search warrant that was authorized by a federal judge, by a magistrate judge in Atlanta, that allowed us to go and seize those records, and they have been seized by the FBI as part of an ongoing criminal investigation.
He said interesting things are happening, so it sounds like he was briefed on it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not around when the president's briefed or not briefed. What I said is that this is a criminal investigation, so it's a tightly held, as it must be under the law. It's a grand jury investigation, and that's how we're proceeding.
What are they investigating?
As you know, we can't talk about specifics of any grand jury investigation. I will tell you, as I said on Friday, as the president has said, election integrity is of the highest importance to the American people, hopefully to everybody in this country, Democrats and Republicans alike. And so we are doing everything we can to make sure that we have free and fair elections.
Okay, and as you well know, that when it comes to Georgia, claims of voter fraud there, because they got the 2020 ballots, have been debunked over and over again. There were multiple recounts. Why was the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, present at an FBI raid?
First of all, it wasn't an FBI raid. It was a search warrant being executed by FBI agents in the middle of the day.
But why was she there?
And secondly, I don't know why the director was there. She is not part of the grand jury investigation, but she is for sure a key part of our efforts at election integrity and making sure that we have free and fair elections. She's an expert in that space, and it's a big part of what she and her team look at every day. But beyond that, I don't, like I said before, this is a grand jury investigation being conducted by a U.S. attorney, and that's where we have to leave it for now.
Okay, so let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. No good answers. This is the second in command. Now let's see what Jamie Raskin has to say.
I want to start with the Epstein files and what the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, told me in the last segment, that effectively, case closed. He said it's possible if somebody sees something with all of these documents that have been released that requires them to look into a potential prosecution, perhaps, but other than that, they're done.
And case closed has been their mantra since January. In January, they demanded all the files from the prosecutors in New York who were running the case, brought them to Washington and said, this case is over. We're not doing anything else. They told us the same thing when Kash Patel came to the Judiciary Committee. He said, it's been fully analyzed. Everything's been redacted. There's nothing to see there, and there are no further cases. And when people said, have you spoken to all the survivors? There are dozens of survivors who are out organizing and talking about what needs to be done. He says, well, our doors are open if they have something to tell us. They've done no real investigation. Their entire determination has been to shut it down to protect Donald Trump. And your interview with Mr. Blanche is astonishing because it shows he has never once attempted to make the transformation from being Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer to the number 2 person for the United States Department of Justice.
I know you want to see, a lot of this, as the last time, was redacted. A lot of the victims are upset that it looks like they were protecting the people who were, the men who were involved.
Yes.
And not necessarily them. But I know that the Justice Department, he said in his press conference Friday that people like you and other members of Congress could go and see the unredacted documents. Are you going to do that? And
Absolutely.
What are you going to be looking for?
We sent them a letter, and so we're demanding a right to do it. I hope the Department of Justice will keep to its word and let us in there. Remember, they've said there are 6 million potentially responsive documents there. They've only released 3 million with more than 10,000 redactions. So we have to go look at those redactions. They've not sent us the explanation yet for those redactions. But then what about the other 3 million files? Because we are witnessing a full-blown cover-up. Remember, not only is there a subpoena to Attorney General Bondi to turn everything over to Congress, now there's a federal law compelling them to turn it over. And yet we're just getting these dribs and drabs of information coming out, the stuff that they want us to see.
Yeah. I mean, they say 3 million documents is not nothing, but
it's close to nothing when they're deciding which documents are coming out, and there's a federal law and a subpoena compelling them to just turn everything over to Congress. And they said that they had done this process many months ago, and there's nothing to see there.
I want to ask you about Georgia. The Deputy Attorney General didn't seem to know why the Director of National Intelligence was there when they went and seized the 2020 ballots and other information from Fulton County, which is kind of the epicenter of President Trump's unfounded claims about the election. Was it, you're a constitutional expert. Was that something that...
they haven't given us any explanation. I know that she's had, fairly close relations with Russia in the past, and maybe she's trying to investigate the Russian role. We know that Russia's been trying to interfere in our elections since 2016. So I really have no idea why she would be there. But I will tell you this about the elections case in Georgia. It has been thoroughly investigated, litigated, and adjudicated repeatedly. And remember, there are 60 federal and state court cases, including from Georgia, including from Trump-appointed judges, rejecting every claim of electoral fraud and corruption. In fact, Fox News had to pay the Dominion business $787 million because they lied about what had happened in Georgia, and they created, all kinds of fraudulent, defamatory statements about what took place there. You can read the January 6th Select Committee report about it. Nobody's laid a glove on that. In other words, this is settled fact. This is what the lawyers call res judicata. It's over. So Donald Trump obviously wants to keep going back to the scene of his crime, his attack on the election, to claim that something's there. But everybody saw what happened. He called up the Secretary of State, a Republican, Mr. Raffensperger, and he said, just find me 11,780 votes. That's all I want. And so that's not Donald Trump trying to stop election fraud. That's Donald Trump trying to commit election fraud.
I do want to ask about something that's coming up in the House this week, and that is the former President, Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton. They were already held in contempt by the Oversight Committee. And several Democrats voted yes on that, too. It's going to come before the full House soon. Will you vote yes?
I mean, I will vote yes on contempt against them and anybody else as long as Pam Bondi is part of it. And the Democrats on the Oversight Committee raised Pam Bondi. Remember, she's got millions of documents that she is legally compelled to turn over under a month-old subpoena and under federal law, and she's not doing it. So I don't think we should be holding anybody in contempt, including people who've engaged in at least partial compliance, unless we're going to get that huge mountain of documents that's being held by the DOJ.
So presumably Republicans are not going to do that.
Well, if they're not going to do it, then they're not serious about investigating the Epstein files, and that's what America wants.
So you vote no on the question?
I will definitely vote no on any partisan measure, one side or the other. I want all of the information from everybody, and I want everybody to come forward and comply, including Ghislaine Maxwell, G-Max, the sexual predator who Virginia Giuffre said opened the gates to hell for these women and for these girls. I wonder if Mr. Blanche has even read Virginia Giuffre's book about what happened, Nobody's Girl. He should go ahead and read it and try to understand what he's doing, because he's acting like his only interest in the whole event is to protect Donald Trump.
These viral paleo belly beats are on.
Todd Blanche had no time to read her book. He was too busy setting her up in a cushy prison. The convicted S.A.er. Now, let's talk about the Board of Peace. No. I want to talk about this first. I must talk about 4547 is suing the federal government for what price? A drum roll, please. Oh, wait a minute. I think I have a drum roll. Let's see how much 4547 is suing you, the American people. Where is my gun? For how much? $10 billion. If you are unaware that your current president is suing the American government for $10 billion to put in his pocket. Why would he be doing that? He says because his tax returns were leaked. He's suing the IRS and the Department of Treasury because in his last administration, his tax returns, many of which if I remember correctly, showed him paying zero in taxes. And I do believe I remember there was one tax return that showed that this alleged billionaire only paid $750 in taxes. He said that was an illegal leak. Come to find out, that is not true. And who is he suing? He would be suing. He would be going up against his own Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. We know Scott Bessent, who doesn't find a reason to support the lies of this administration. So, do you think that Scott Bessent is going to put up a valiant fight against 4547? Or do you think that the American people are going to be on the hook to pay 4547 billions of dollars for this allegation that his tax returns were illegally leaked? Let me get into this story because you have to hear this. Now, it is aside from that story itself. 4547 has come out days after filing of this lawsuit to get 10 billion of your American tax dollars put in his pocket. He's also come out and said that he himself would more than likely be the one who negotiates how much he gets. So he's going to be suing you for your tax dollars, and he is going to be the negotiator. Isn't that interesting? Let me Let me Let me find that story I have for you. I definitely want to share. Let me find this real quick. Where is it? Hold on one second. I apologize. I had so much. I've been off for 10 days and I have been grabbing so many things that I wanted to speak with you about, but I've already been live for several hours. I do not want to make this too long. Hold on. Oh, since we were speaking about Don Lemon, uh, let's see how the arrest of Don Lemon worked out for this Department of Justice.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, and I'm the CEO of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining us our next.
This department
co-founder and
This Department of Justice is quite a failure at all of these bogus cases that they bring up. Since you guys wanted to talk about all the illegal things that Don Lemon did, and Don Lemon, he went into a church and invited. I thought that the mantra of churches were "Come as you are," all the ye who are heavy laden, and you are to go to the Christ, and he will relieve all of you heavy laden people. But Don Lemon needed a invite. Get the fuck out of my face with this dumb
chair
shit.
of Democracy Defenders Fund, Norm Eisen. Norm, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
So, Norm, we witnessed a pretty chilling scene today where Don Lemon was arrested by Trump's Department of Justice. So, Norm, I want to talk about the legal aspects of this first. Do you believe that the charges that Don Lemon is facing right now are actually going to be successful in their prosecution attempt?
Brian, this is not going to work as a prosecution because of a little obstacle known as the First Amendment. Don Lemon was simply doing journalism. It is no crime if I cover the Palisades fire in Los Angeles. Are they going to charge me with arson if I'm at a camera crew outside of a bank? Do I get hit when it's being robbed? Do I get bank robbery charges?
I mean, for you, Norm, specifically, I wouldn't put that past the Trump administration.
Well, they've tried and failed, Brian, and I just don't think that this is anything other than an act of bullying. We've already had a judge, and no conservative, an Antonin Scalia clerk, Judge Schlitz, the chief judge of the federal district courts in Minneapolis. He said there's no evidence to charge Don. They tried it once. They tried doing a criminal information. Now they've gone back to a grand jury. But Brian, you know what they say, grand jury will indict a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
This is an extremely non-kosher ham sandwich. This is some rotten non-kosher ham that they've got here, and I think it's going to be thrown out.
So talk to us a little about the mechanics of that, because I know that folks are saying, okay, you have a district court judge, a conservative district court judge, who already said that there's no basis to bring this case. And so how could they go to a grand jury and indict him anyway? Can you talk about a little bit about the mechanics of the criminal investigation versus grand jury?
Yes, and there's two ways that prosecutors can charge a case. One is they can themselves issue a criminal complaint. And that is what they initially tried to do with Don Lemon. That failed. A magistrate judge in Minnesota, a federal judge, said there's no crime here. And then the chief judge affirmed the same thing in a very complicated procedural posture where DOJ was trying to force the judges to accept that criminal complaint despite a lack of probable cause, a lack of a sufficient minimum basis for the case. Then you have a second way that you can prosecute, and that is known as an indictment. That is where you go to a grand jury. And that's what they've done with Don here. But you know, there were grand juries that put forward the bogus charges against Tish James and Jim Comey, and ultimately a judge scrutinized those on different grounds than Don. Don will be First Amendment grounds. Judge scrutinized those. We filed a brief on behalf of former judges saying, throw them out. And that's just what happened there. And that's what's going to happen here too, Brian. First Amendment protects journalistic reporting.
So I want to talk a little bit about why the administration is doing this. Do you think, in your estimation, that they think that they have, even after having judges swat them down in their previous attempts, do you think that there is a legitimate belief that they can prosecute Don Lemon, or is it the broader chilling effect that they're looking to have, the harassment, the fact that they're making this an expensive process for him, just a painful process for him? What do you think? What avenue do you think that they're trying to go down here?
You know, what I believe is going on is Pam Bondi's job is in jeopardy. We know that Donald Trump is testy with her. Part of the reason for that has been reported that he doesn't feel there's been enough indictments of his adversaries. They've tried, but they've gotten thrown out. So I believe Pam Bondi is looking for something, anything to placate the Mad King. That's the inference that I draw.
Okay, this link is in my description box under DOJ as well. Now, Don Lemon has an excellent lawyer named Abby Lowell. Abby Lowell is the same attorney who defended James Comey on those bogus charges that Pam Bimbo brought up on James Comey. So let's get into this, shall we?
With me, she says very clearly, Adam, that she believes that this started in Los Angeles and it's part of an ongoing effort of Donald Trump's to erode democracy.
I think all of Donald Trump's actions over the past year have been an attempt to erode democracy, and he's becoming increasingly desperate as we head into the midterm. So the attacks on the press are attacks to make sure there's not transparency. Attacks on college campuses or colleges, it's to make sure that critical thinking students aren't coming out of these colleges to debunk the administration. He attacks law firms, he attacks any single check, and this is a perfect example of him trying to push a chilling effect within independent journalism. So Don Lemon is an independent journalist. I think independent journalism is incredibly important, and it's the one variable this administration hasn't really gone after super hard. So now he's targeting not only Don Lemon, but multiple other people in order to create this overall chilling effect, which erodes democracy.
Can I pick up on something that Mayor Bass said? I live in Los Angeles, and so very aware of the presence of ICE and what it had been there during the time that she was referring. But I want to talk about what she said in terms of mentioning why we need to remind ourselves of the racial element of this. There is a reason why I think Don the reason why Donald Trump not only picked independent journalists, but black journalists in particular. Clearly, we know there's no love lost between Don Lemon and Donald Trump. That he's been very critical of the president. The president they've gone back and forth. But if we go back and undo all the layers of all of this, it was black journalists that were really at the forefront of calling Donald Trump out, from the birtherism movement throughout a lot of the things that they saw early before the rest of the press really picked up on some of the things that concerned a lot of black journalists. Hello, me, who also called out Donald Trump in 2017. And the reason why I think he picked these particular journalists is being independent. You don't have the backing of a CNN. You don't have the backing of a big network. The other part of it, too, is that if you can make them the face of this issue that is happening in Minneapolis, we know that given some of the racial issues that we have in this country, it is likely to have a lot less sympathy because they are journalists, one, and people hate the press, and two, because they're black. And so I do think that that's an important part of this, especially given the president's own language when it comes to anti-DEI and making black people the face of woke, and all that we've heard from this administration. All of this is combined together and meant to drum up a certain sentiment against these journalists so that people are supporting their own rights being eroded because of who they think it's happening to.
Even if you don't agree that there's race as an underlying factor here, it does seem very clear that the Trump administration, Lydia, views this as a slam dunk because Don in particular can be polarizing. And I think they feel like it's an easy way for them to chip away at the media. And look, again, you don't have to like or agree with anything that Don has said or done. But the right of the media, as you pointed out, extends not just to, Don, but also even to conservative media as well. And that's the part I don't understand. Why is it suddenly okay just because it's Don Lemon, just because it's Georgia Ford, that Trump is trying to criminalize the exercise of the free press, the actual reporting that they were doing on the ground?
Well, also, I just want to respond because you accused me of mischaracterizing the indictment. This is actually a quote from the indictment that Lemon posted himself at the main door of the church, where he confronted some congregants and physically obstructed them as they tried to exit, challenging them with facts about U.S. immigration policy. So that is what the indictment says. I'm not stating whether I agree with that, but that's what the indictment says. So look,
They also characterized him as intimidating a pastor who he was calmly interviewing. So I think we also have to, the characterization of him conducting journalism is also something to be questioned.
Look, I think there's obviously a lot of journalists in Minneapolis. The notion that they're just randomly targeting somebody because of their politics or their race is a little unfair. They, if you read the indictment, are going after him because they think that he acted more as a protester than a journalist. But again, I think we need to be really careful when it comes to freedom of the press.
And you brought up that Capitol January 6th.
It's not what they think. It's the facts that matter. All of this, they think he was acting more as a protester. It's not what they say. It's what they can prove. So this link is also in my description box under DOJ. Go over in there and check out the links. All of the links that I play are in my description box. So let me share with you the story about how your president is trying to sue for $10 billion. For his tax returns getting out. Those tax returns that all presidents disclose prior when they're running for office, those things that they disclose themselves, that thing that he didn't disclose the first time he was in office because he said that he was under an audit and he would be releasing them after the audit was over. So I think it was the New York Times and another publication posted the amount he did not or did pay in taxes. And he is going to sue not the New York Times or the other publication. He's going to sue the IRS. So let's get into that story. And how this story, this lawsuit, of course, is another bullshit case of bullshit from this administration. Let me share this with you. And then I'm going to show you how he says that he is going to actually mitigate the damages himself because he is the president. Make this make sense. $10 billion, not million, billions. You know this the cute little number that he always is suing. He was going to sue Rupert Murdoch for $10 billion if he didn't retract the birthday card doodle. He said that he doesn't doodle, and he was going to sue Rupert Murdoch for $10 billion. Have you heard anything more about that suit? From that day to this, from the day that the doodle actually came out, what happened to that $10 billion lawsuit? He has threatened to sue the BBC for how much? $10 billion. So let's hear about what he's trying to put you, the taxpayer, on the line for $10 billion. This will be in my description box under a 10 billion.
Being leaked to the press. In his lawsuit filed yesterday, Mr. Trump and his two sons, Don Jr. President Trump is suing the IRS and Treasury Department in his personal capacity for $10 billion, alleging the IRS failed to take the necessary steps to prevent his tax records from being leaked to the press. In his lawsuit filed yesterday, Mr. Trump and his two sons, Don Jr. and Eric, claimed the agencies caused reputational and financial harm, public embarrassment, and unfairly tarnished their business reputations. Back in 2024, a former IRS contractor was sentenced to 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to leaking the tax records to the New York Times. The suit raising major questions about conflicts of interest given the president controls the IRS and Treasury Department. Neither agency responded to requests for comment, and today, President Trump ignored questions from reporters about the matter. Joining me now is former U.S. Attorney and an NBC News legal analyst, Carol Lamb. Great to see you, Carol. Thanks so much for being here. So the president is suing the Treasury Department in his personal capacity, but could that still potentially be seen as a conflict of interest?
Hi, Kristen. Well, sure, there's a very, very clear conflict of interest here because, as we now know, the president can hire and fire the heads of the IRS and the Treasury Department at will. So where does that leave us? You know, this is a lawsuit that was filed on the very, very last day that the president could file this lawsuit, even arguably, because the statute of limitations for filing a civil law the IRS under this statute is only 2 years. He doesn't have a really great argument for waiting so long. He claims he only got official notice of this leak from the IRS on January 29th of 2024. But I mean, let's face it, he's known about this since 2020 at least. So it's not a very good argument. And there are lots of good defenses to this lawsuit. And the $10 billion, that's just media attention. I mean, there's no real basis for the $10 billion that he claims are a loss of reputation. That's just a big figure he wanted to put out there. But the real question, as you point out, is who is going to defend this case. It would usually be some group of lawyers between the Justice Department and IRS and Treasury, but they all report to President Donald Trump. So, you know, where does it go from here? And precedent for a judge, a federal judge, to appoint somebody to represent the defendants if he feels or she feels that there is not an adversarial relationship because there is such a conflict of interest, and that's where we might go here.
Well, Carol, let me ask you, because what kind of a precedent would this set if the Treasury Department did wind up paying out $10 billion to the sitting president?
Of course, that's a terrible precedent, and we've we've seen that sort of situation before, for example, with the Eric Adams prosecution, where the Department of Justice was instructed, or the line prosecutors were instructed to drop the case against Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, so that the Trump administration could kind of keep him on a line to do its bidding with respect to immigration. And the judge did hire an outside lawyer to come in and represent the independence of the Justice Department here. That's very, very unusual. I mean, almost never happens. So it would be a terrible precedent, because what could happen here is that there could be a settlement behind closed doors, and taxpayer money could be paying President Trump for something that is a highly defensible case here. But I will add that he has already lost what he was hoping to get, a sympathetic judge in the Southern District of Florida. I mean, there's not really a great reason to file this case in Florida. He was, for the most part, a resident of New York, and often these cases are filed either in New York or Washington, D.C., where the tax returns were filed. He was undoubtedly hoping he would get a very conservative judge who would be sympathetic to him. He did not get that. He got a judge who was appointed by Democrats, and it's important in this kind of case because lawsuits against federal agencies are generally heard not by a jury, but by the judge. And so the judge is the fact finder. So there are certain wins that are not going in President Trump's favor at this point.
All right. Well, I know that you and we will be tracking this.
Oh, but we would be remiss if we didn't say that there are also certain cases that are mitigated before they go to trial. So it appears that 45-47, since he has pulled a judge who may not be favorable to him in this case, he may be mitigating his own court case. Let's hear the information on that. The grift is always grifting. And did you guys hear about how, was it 2 days or 1 day before 45-47 took office? You know that the Liberty financial situation that he has going on, where he is making all of this money off of Bitcoin. He sold 49% of this company to, I think it was the UAE. So they own 49% of this company. These people who are dumping billions of dollars into his little personal fund, his little buying all of this Bitcoin, and you don't know who's buying it, and you don't know what they're getting in exchange for it. Well, it seems like someone from the UAE, a personal, I think it's not the country, a personal investor owns almost half of his, what is it? His fucking, what does he call it? It's always some fake ass patriotic name. Liberty Financial. We'll get to that. Let me finish this story first. I apologize. It's just so much. It's so much grifting and so little time with this administration. Here we go.
That he is suing the federal government to settle with himself. And probably one of the most corrupt statements you'll hear, but really no one's batting an eye. So on Air Force One, he's speaking to a press gaggle. He said about his multiple lawsuits against the federal government, he's suing the IRS right now for $10 billion. He said, quote, "I'm supposed to work out a settlement with myself. We can make it a substantial amount. Nobody would care because it's going to go to numerous very good charities." So he's suing the federal government. Then because the federal government is himself at this point, he is then working out a settlement for himself,
picking a number that he wants and pocketing that number and saying that he's going to numerous charities. One of those charities is probably the Donald Trump Presidential Foundation to build his presidential library. But he is suing the government for $10 billion. That is your money. That is your money, by the way, taxpayer dollars. And no one's batting an eye. Spread the word, because I think people need to know about it, and follow along, stay update on all the news that you need to know about. There'll be much more to come very soon. We have some news right now. Donald Trump just admitted that he is suing the federal government to settle with himself. And probably one of the most corrupt statements you'll hear, but really no one's batting an eye. So on Air Force One,
I'll probably settle it myself. It can be for a large amount of money, but no one will care because it's going to charity. If you did not know that, I guess, what is it? Barry Weiss. That's the bitch name who I was trying to figure out what that funky cunt's name was. Barry Weiss, who they put over CBS News, who is tanking real news stories unless the administration sycophant lunatic Stephen Miller get a chance to put his spin on whatever story that CBS Legal has already said is good to go, and she is withholding these stories. Is this bitch giving you this information? How is that bitch reporting this shit on CBS? They said that CBS ratings are tanking, are in the trash can. So they haven't. Barry Weiss has a fabulous idea. She is going to hire more conservatives, more of the sycophants, liars, to be on CBS News. So just giving you that information as well. So how will CBS News report on this? How will Fox News report on this? Will they even report on this? Please make sure you hit the like button. This is news about you and how it will affect your life. Okay, that's all I am trying to give you is some accurate information. Now, I think there is something else. There is definitely something else I want to share with you. Let me get to it. One second. Here we go. Let's talk about the Board of Peace. If you guys are not familiar with the fake ceasefire that they did over in Gaza and with Gaza and Israel, where if there was no signage of any peace agreement between the two countries. Now, you remember they said that they were going to appoint a Board of Peace. It was very vague on what the Board of Peace is. Now, they said that Tony Blair, 4547, and I think I can't remember the third person, would be over the Board of Peace. So now it seems like they're putting the Board of Peace together. And you know what the Board of Peace is compiled of? It's compiled of nations who have who are not part of the G7 at all. I believe Russia is a part of the Board of Peace, Vietnam, and what is all of these? What does it take to be a part of the Board of Peace? It takes for $1 billion, you can be a part of the Board of Peace forever. However, forever is forever, ever, forever, ever. And I forget how much it is to be a part of the Board of Peace for 3 years. But for $1 billion, it's supposed to be a forever situation. But you know the strange thing about all of this, about the Board of Peace, none of them are our allies or who are a part of the Board of Peace. It appears to that 4547 is trying to get the United States, hooked up in a whole nother arrangement with people who are willing to pay. And the thing about this payment is they don't tell you where these billions of dollars are going either. Did you know that about this administration? Do you understand how fully and completely this administration is separating the United States from any allies and cuddling up to people who have not routinely been our allies? But but what you need to know is uh, it is it appears to be that 4547 is going to make sure that he and his family and whomever else he deems important enough are making sure that they have enough cash ready for an exit plan. Will you, the American citizen, have an exit plan? There was a, a a cold front that swept a lot of the United States, and I am looking out at people begging for money to buy bread, to buy salami, to buy shit that you should already have in your house. I have spoke to you guys many a time how it is important that you have an emergency kit. An emergency kit does not consist of perishables. Now, if you have absolutely nothing, if you have heard for weeks that there is going to be a cold freeze, it would appear that you would make preparations prior to the day before this emergency weather is going to hit your home. But America loves uneducated people. So you got a lot of dummies out here that figures like, hey, I can go on social media and hope people hearts bleed for me and cash app me things that I will need for my own subsistence. Make that make sense. But it appears that 4547 is going to make sure that he has an escape route, an escape plan, some escape money to get out of these situations that Americans will find themselves in very shortly. As all of these nations are divesting in our bonds, as the U.S. dollar is fucking less valuable than it was the past in 30 years, the lowest value in over 30 years. Do you guys understand that this is a major grift? Nobody's even telling you that this motherfucker is talking about settling a $10 billion suit himself. And all of this type of serious shit is being ignored. Okay. I think I digressed. I digress. Let's where was I? What did I want to show you? I wanted to show you. Let's go with Marco Rubio being questioned about this border peace since they decided to start talking about the border peace. Let's see exactly what Rubio has to tell Congress about the border peace. Let me share my screen with you. Hey, Leonard. Hey, Z Sarah. It is good to see you guys. Leonard, I hope you've been doing okay. I was thinking about you the other day. I was hoping that you were okay. So let's get into this. And here we have Marco Rubio with all of these strange mouth motions, looking like he's fiending for a rock or some powder or something. Let's get into this. This is under No Peace. This will be in my description box under the link No Peace.
Information on the border peace. Do you commit to informing us about what the heck this is?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a board of peace.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I'll just note that Albania, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Belarus, Bulgaria, Cambodia, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, Israel, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, Morocco, Mongolia, Pakistan, Paraguay, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. There are a lot of countries with whom we normally work very closely and with whom we are aligned geopolitically and in terms of values that are not on the board of peace. And so I think it's reasonable for us to wonder whether something in terms of a, I don't know, competitive structure to sort of either undermine the UN or circumvent the UN. I just worry that a lot of our friends are not on that list, and some of our adversaries are. Thank you, Chairman, Ranking Member. Secretary, good to see you again. I want to ask about the oil. Under U.S. law, funds received by the government must be deposited with the Treasury. Earlier, you testified that the funds are being held short-term in Qatar and then will move to a Treasury blocked account. What is the statutory authority for the administration relying on Qatar to hold the funds?
It's not our funds. The funds are in an account that's owned and signed. It's an account that belongs to Venezuela, but it has U.S. sanctions as a blocking mechanism on it. And one of the primary reasons why it was in a third country initially, until we could create the mechanism to move it to a U.S.
Until we can create a mechanism to move it to the U.S. But you conveniently created a mechanism real quick to put it offshore in a bank account in Qatar. How many nations have money in the World Bank that have sanctions on them already? How many nations have joined the BRICS because they feel that they are tired of the U.S. being able to put sanctions on their money from any old reason that they choose to, so therefore they do not have to stockpile American dollars and they can trade with the BRICS with their own currency? So are we pretending like the U.S. Bank has not been able to put sanctions on other nations' money as they sit in United States banks? Is that what he's trying to tell you? See, because he thinks that Americans are stupid. He thinks that all of you are stupid and you don't know that there is already a mechanism. So he just wants you to think, we had to think of a mechanism real quick because we were selling that oil off hand over fist as soon as we got in there. It's not there. It's not our money. It's the Venezuelans' money. But it has a sanction on it. And wait until you get to the sweet spot. If it's Venezuelans' money, how come it can't be in a bank over in Venezuela? He's trying to protect it from creditors. Wait a minute. So you trying to tell me that y'all got Venezuela, y'all selling their oil, y'all making money for them, and y'all still trying to stiff the people that Venezuela owe? What? Oh, this is the Trump administration. This is the administration of the man who gets all of this work done and then try to pay the artisans or the craft people half of what the amount that was quoted, and he will keep them tied up in court until they get tired of paying out all of this money to lawyers. So maybe they would, sell something, get a profit, and try to cheat the creditors. And Marco Rubio is going to tell you that they put it in Qatar because they don't want people that Venezuela owe to come and get the money. What kind of thinking is that?
Presence is twofold. One, we have an issue we're working through on recognition. What is exactly, you have to recognize a government, but we don't recognize this government. We recognize the 2015 National Assembly. So we have to find some creative way legally to meet that standard. The other is, frankly, creditors. If any of that money touched a U.S. bank, even if it was an account in the name of the Venezuelans, it would immediately be seized upon by a number of creditors who eventually will have to take care of. But in the short term,
Well, if you're going to eventually have to take care of them, how come you're not taking care of them now? If the money get into a U.S. bank, we're going to have to take care of creditors. We're going to eventually have to take care of them. But we just found a solution to put the money offshore in Qatar. He really thinks that the American people are so dumb. Maybe you guys are. Maybe you guys are. Because you always are talking about Democrats. You never see anything that's right in front of your face. But a storm is coming. Are you going to be ready for the storm? That's all I want to know.
That would impede the ability of the Venezuelan authorities to receive the funds they need to operate.
So do you have the, I mean, this is what I'm trying to get at, right? Either it's American money, in which case it's subject to the Miscellaneous Receipts Act, and there are all kinds of things that attend to that. You're saying it's Venezuela's money, but it does sound like, according to the EO, according to the president's statements, you are in charge of that money. What authority are you relying on to be in charge, almost in a sort of receivership kind of arrangement of how funds are both received and expended for a foreign country? Like, wouldn't you have to come to Congress to establish that kind of relationship?
Well, no, because the money never enters our hands. We only control the disbursement of the money. We don't control the actual money.
Sure, but
we only control the disbursement of the money. We don't control the actual money. The actual money, the actual dollar bills are over in Qatar, and it actually belongs to Venezuela. But we have to recognize the government, but we don't recognize the government. So, but we get to disperse. We are clear that we get to disperse where the money goes. That's the most important thing. And we don't have to go to Congress. We have decided that no, we do not have to be lawful in this administration. Let's continue.
Comes into our bank account.
Do you think that you have somewhere in the statute or the Constitution the authority to control disbursements of a foreign country?
Well, they've agreed to this. And that's the key. They've agreed to this arrangement in which the sanctions that are placed on this oil is what blocks its distribution. So we've agreed to release sanctions and allow the disbursement of the funding as long as they're spending it in a certain way. So I understand it's novel, but it's the best we can.
We agree to release the sanction of this money as long as they're spending it in a certain way. What certain way would that be? Not to repay creditors, because if we put it in an American bank, there will be creditors coming in. But we're going to allow you to spend it, not pay your creditors, as long as you spend the money in a certain way. I understand that this is a novel situation. Is that what we call illegal? A novel? We call illegal shit something that's novel now. To put a cute little word on some shit that if it is not illegal, it should be illegal because it definitely sounds illegal. We call that a novel.
Come up with an oil is what blocks its distribution. So we've agreed to release sanctions and allow the disbursement of the funding as long as they're spending it in a certain way. So I understand it's novel, but it's the best we could come up with in the short term to ensure that they're.
Is there a written agreement that memorializes this?
And yeah. I believe there is, and there will have to be one most certainly once we transition that to U.S. accounts.
Secretary, my understanding is the committee doesn't have this agreement.
Well, I can.
Is there an agreement, a written agreement? Yes, yeah, and there will have to be one. If we, no, there's not. No, there's not. This is bullshit.
If we do or we don't.
Yeah. And you probably wouldn't because it's a Treasury matter. Treasury's handled it, but I can most certainly talk to Treasury about providing you the information.
Also, you're the.
Now he's the Secretary of State, but you probably wouldn't have one. The shit that we're supposed to come to Congress about, and we have created a way to avoid coming to Congress, so we can do whatever we want to do with this Venezuelan money. Well, I'll talk to Treasury and make sure you get one. Well, if you felt that it was important for Congress to have one in the first place, wouldn't you have already made sure that Congress had one? This is what your administration is up to. But what are you going to do when the storm hits your life personally? Because a storm is coming.
National Security Advisor, so you do have a role here in coordinating between the department. So it's not just like you can punt this to Treasury.
Yeah, I just didn't bring the document with me.
I got it. Okay. I just want you to land it and get it to the.
I'll make sure Treasury get one to you. And when he's like, no, it's not Treasury responsibility. Well, I'll make sure I get it to you. Which is it? You are the one who have to approve Treasury to get the document in writing to him, or you just didn't bring the document with you? Which one is it? Because I'm really confused on what I'm hearing here. You understand that you were responsible for bringing the document in writing, but you forgot to bring it. I forgot to bring it. But first you said that it's done via Treasury, and you would not have the document because it's done via Treasury. And I will talk to them and make sure you get one. Did we hear this properly? We got to hear the bullshit.
Agreement?
Well, I can.
If we do or we don't?
Yeah.
And
you probably wouldn't because it's a Treasury matter. Treasury's handled it, but I can.
You probably wouldn't have a document because it's a Treasury matter, and I will talk to the Treasury to make sure you get it. Only to come back and follow when he is told, no, motherfucker, we're supposed to already have this document. Oh, well, the reason you don't have it is because I forgot to bring it with me today. Gosh darn it. All of these aides I have, I can't get nobody to go run to my office and get this alleged agreement that we have in writing signed by God knows whom. I can't send anybody to fax it over. I can't send anybody to copy an email. No, I just forgot to bring it with me. After I lied and said you probably wouldn't have it because it's a Treasury department thing.
If we do or we don't?
Yeah. And you probably wouldn't because it's a Treasury matter. Treasury's handled it, but I can most certainly talk to Treasury about providing you the information.
Also, you're the National Security Advisor, so you do have a role here in coordinating between the department. So it's not just like you can punt this to Treasury.
Yeah, I just didn't bring the document with me.
I got it. Okay. I just want you to land it and get it to the committee because you're being transparent. I think this is novel. I think it's funky. I think it may not even be permissible, but I don't know until I see the document. And I'd like you to just land it for us if that's all right.
Yeah, no, like I said, and by the way, by the time I get it to you, hopefully we won't even have that account anymore. It'll be in a bit more traditional, where we can use our sanctions as leverage on how the money's being spent.
You're just going to move on to a couple of other issues. Your comments that Havana should be concerned about the Maduro operation is fueling speculation that this administration will turn its sights to Cuba next. Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime there change. We would like to, that doesn't mean that we're going to make it change, but we would love to see it change. There's no doubt about the fact that it would be of great benefit to the United States if Cuba was no longer governed by an autocratic regime.
But you know what we mean by regime change. We don't mean, I wish someone else were in charge. When we talk about regime change, we're talking about using the power of the United States, usually kinetic power, but often other kinds of coercion and I'm not even saying that that's always not in our interest. I'm just saying, I'm not asking you whether we would prefer a different kind of government. I'm asking whether you are trying to precipitate the fall of the current regime.
Yeah, but that's statutory. The Helms-Burton Act, the U.S. embargo on Cuba is codified. It was codified in law, and it requires regime change in order for us to lift the embargo.
Okay. We have not received any information on the Board of Peace. Do you commit to informing us about what the heck this is?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a board of peace.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I'll just note that Albania, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Belarus, Bulgaria, Cambodia, Egypt, Hungary, Indonesia, Israel, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, Morocco, Mongolia, Pakistan, Paraguay, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. There are a lot of countries with whom we normally work very closely and with whom we are aligned geopolitically and in terms of values that are not on the board of peace. And so I think it's reasonable for us to wonder whether something in terms of a, I don't know, competitive structure to sort of either undermine the UN or circumvent the UN. I just worry that a lot of our friends are not on that list, and some of our adversaries are.
So to 2 points, the impediment that they have is, first of all, this was chartered by the UN. I mean, the UN, it's a UN resolution that actually created the mechanism by which the board was set up. And the primary and sole focus of that board right now is to administer phase 2 and phase 3 of the plan in Gaza.
Okay.
And we welcome, all these countries have been invited. Some in Europe have chosen not to join it, either because they have constitutional, they require constitutional approval of their parliament in order to join, depending on some leaders. Like, for example, I'm thinking there are a couple countries in Europe that could not join until they got permission from their vote. In other cases, because they are concerned about what you just pointed out, they are arguing, they want to know, is this a replacement for the UN? This is not a replacement for the UN, but the UN has served very little purpose in the case of Gaza, other than the food assistance.
Can I just?
So we think it's critical to have something that's in charge of that.
One final 10-second question. We are hopefully about to enact appropriations law either this Friday or soon after that. And I just want your commitment to work with my team and anyone else who has jurisdiction on the implementation of the SFOPS bill.
Yes, of course. And we're very happy you're about to pass it. Even if you pass none of the other budgets, you should pass that one.
Thank you. I agree.
Okay, so let's see what the Board of Peace is actually here for. Let's see how this Board of Peace, since they're getting it off the ground, let's see what's going on with the Board of Peace. Oh my goodness.
Sequential bodies ever created. And it's my enormous honor to serve as its chairman. I was very honored when they asked me to do it. We had an idea to do it, and then they came. They said, you be the chairman.
Yeah, I had an idea, and then they came. But, like, who are they? You had the idea. How did they exist for you to be chosen without you knowing? That doesn't make any sense. It's like I always felt about the Bible that, like, they leave the Garden of Eden, and then they go out, and there's, like, a city. And I'm like, wait a second. I thought you were the first people. This story isn't adding up, Trump. But as surprised as he is pretending to be about being chosen as the chairman of the Board of Peace, I was surprised at some of the new details that are coming out about it. Everything we've already known, super suspicious, but more and more is coming out. There are still a few key details that I really want to discover the truth to. But here's what we know so far. The board's charter, which he hasn't publicized, but which the Times of Israel obtained and published, doesn't mention Gaza at all, which seems strange considering that it's going to have control of Gaza eventually. And that was supposedly the reason that they created it. They just forgot to mention it, weirdly. Now, the members of the board will consist of whichever heads of state the chairman, Donald Trump, chooses to invite. Their terms of membership will last 3 years unless they pay the board $1 billion, which we've known, which would buy them lifetime tenure. Now, there are a lot of additional details that have come out. You know what hasn't come out? Where that money will go. There's literally no details, including in that charter, about where that money goes and who controls it. I mean, we all know exactly where it's going and we know who's going to control it. But when I remind you that the chairman is Trump, not the president of the United States, him individually, and he will continue to be even after he's no longer president, are you going to be shocked to find out that it goes directly in his bank account? I personally will not be. Now, the board is going to decide policies and declare resolutions by majority vote, but the chairman, Trump, gets veto power. Like singularly veto power over all of it. He can also initiate measures unilaterally, like he doesn't need anyone else to be on board. He can eject members, I guess even if they paid the $1 billion, and he gets to choose his own successor. It's not even like he starts it off, but then eventually there's a vote. I mean, look, this body is ridiculous. And that's the main reason I wanted to talk about this. And I want to talk about how much more ridiculous it's gonna get in about 2 years. But like, even while it's operating, how humiliating for any country to take part in this, let alone to pay Donald Trump $1 billion. It's utterly meaningless. There's no enforcement mechanism for literally any of this. Every one of the countries that's on that board is also on the UN. So what are they gonna do if they decide to do something that the UN has voted against? How's that gonna work? How is any of this going to work? Why would any of this actually work? So anyway, none of the states that have signed up, by the way, while they are on the UN, none of them are on the Security Council. So it's none of the generally thought of like the biggest, most militarily capable and powerful states. None of the Western European states have signed on, at least right now. And it's not at this point known whether any of them have paid the $1 billion. I hope they haven't, although, I wouldn't get mad at them for taking advantage of a massive bribery loophole if they could. But here's the more ridiculous thing. So him being the chairman, that's obviously ridiculous. You know who else is on the board? Basically all of the worst figures from the Trump administration. So it includes Steve Witkoff, the guy that got him that massive Middle Eastern bribe to his crypto endeavors. Jared Kushner is on the board of peace. Mark Rowan, billionaire financier, which has led Trump's political pressure campaigns on American universities for some reason. Robert Gabriel, a former producer of Laura Ingram's TV show, who is now Trump's deputy national security advisor. And I don't know which part of that is more ridiculous. That he was the producer on Laura Ingram's show, and then he became the deputy national security advisor, or that he's now on the board of peace board when he was a producer for Laura Ingram. Look, I love producers. Some of my favorite people are producers. Producer Ashley is one of my favorite producers. I don't know if she should automatically be on the UN Security Council just because I know her or whatever. Like, that seems, there should probably be a test or something. I don't know. In any event, Marco Rubio's on it. But also, so like some of these people hypothetically have influence over policy, right? Okay, Steve Witkoff, he can go and make deals. Hell, he can get Trump billions of dollars. But it's only because Trump is president. Jared Kushner, the only influence he has ever had in his life is because of Donald Trump. Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. That's why he has power. When Donald Trump is no longer president, why would anyone listen to anything any of these clowns and bozos and weirdos say? Marco Rubio will not be the Secretary of State at that point. Who the hell cares what he says as part of the board? Who cares what Jared Kushner says? Who cares what Steve Witkoff says? And most importantly, who cares what Donald Trump says once he's no longer president? And that is not just me mocking him, although that would be enough for me to do the story. It always has been. Why would any of these countries stay on the board after he's no longer president? And sure, he can choose his successor, but I'm assuming he's not gonna pick President Ocasio-Cortez or whatever, or Gavin Newsom. Insert Buttigieg if you want. I know his videos on YouTube have been doing well recently. So why would they take part in this? He thinks this is gonna be like the most long-standing and powerful and influential body in world history. Why would it exist more than the next 2.5 years? And I haven't heard any explanation as to why. By the way, can I mention also, Susie Wiles is on the board. His chief of staff, the woman from Vanity Fair. We'll show that picture later on the show. He's on it. Martin Edelman, a New York-based real estate lawyer.
Hi, I'm Andy Levian, general counsel at the DNC. We just sued President Trump and DOJ, and I hope you will support.
What? Look, there's a lot of stuff that goes on every day, and I'll end on this. That's utterly nonsensical, doesn't make any sense, and I don't know how to follow it. This might be the strangest thing, because I feel like he's setting up a reality show. Like, this doesn't feel real to me. This feels, and I haven't really heard any senators say anything about it. There's nothing being done to stop the money from going right to Donald Trump. Nobody seems to be taking it seriously. Maybe they're hoping that if they don't talk about it, he'll just forget about it. And maybe that's a good strategy. But this seems like all it is a massive source of bribes.
When your company is growing fast,
Let me share one more thing with you. As the U.S. economy is falling off of like a cliff, and 45, 47 is making these tens of billions and hundreds of $1 billion uh, deals and moves and setting up friends and families in positions. These positions that have influence in running the whole world. Cronies. Steve Witkoff is the one who couldn't get to Yemen. Was it no to Qatar quick enough to let them know that Israel was going to strike them with a bomb, but of course not. You know, he's just a realtor. Let me share this with you. Um, Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something stupid. Chris Darwin, California is the fourth largest economy in the world. You are probably somebody who lives in a broke ass red state, and if California did not make the money that California made, your state would be destitute. So do not put propaganda in my chat. If you're ignorant, I understand that there's a lot of ignorance going on out here, but cut the bullshit. All of this. Oh, it's waste, fraud, and let's. I have to share one more thing with you. Let's see how 45, 47 sold 49% of his share in that crypto coin business that he had to some rich people from the UAE, I believe it is.
Allegations against President Trump tonight, a bombshell. New report exposes a secret deal between the Trump family and an Abu Dhabi royal known as the Spy Sheikh. The Wall Street Journal reporting, quote, 4 days before Donald Trump's inauguration last year, lieutenants to an Abu Dhabi royal secretly signed a deal with the Trump family to purchase a 49% stake in their cryptocurrency venture for $500 million. At least $31 million was also slated to flow to entities affiliated with the family of Steve Witkoff, who is a World Liberty co-founder and had just been named the U.S. envoy to the Middle East. Joining us now is Sam Kessler, one of the Wall Street Journal reporters behind the story. Sam,
Is Steve who? Steve Witkoff? Just became an ambassador. Now, World Liberty Financial is run by 45, 47's son, and who else? Steve Witkoff's son. If you didn't know, now you know. I just wanted you to be clear.
Magnitude of this story and the scope of the deal and the reporting, there is just so much there. Can you just walk us through what actually went down here?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It is dense, and I appreciate you nodding at that. I think you did a pretty good job in the overview there, but just to go back a little bit. So my colleagues and I, Rebecca Ballhaus, Angus Berwick, and Elliot Brown, we broke this story last night. It's about a deal that happened just 4 days before the inauguration, like you mentioned last year, where the Trump family made a deal with a UAE royal, Sheikh Tahnoon, known as the Spy Sheikh, in exchange for 49% of their cryptocurrency company, World Liberty Financial. And the deal was worth $500 million with money flowing to those entities you mentioned, including entities associated with the Trump family and his, at that point, incoming envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. It's crazy not just because of the scale of the deal. Those figures are obviously pretty massive, even by the standards of other deals we've been hearing about in this administration, but it's also pretty extraordinary in terms of the timing. A big thing here is that Sheikh Tahnoon, in addition to being a royal and brother to the president of the UAE, is also that country's national security advisor, and he's been tasked with securing AI chips for the UAE, and he also oversees a portfolio of worth $1.3 trillion. It's pretty crazy, but basically, after this deal was signed, just within a few months, Sheikh Tahnoun's own company, G42, was granted access to these highly coveted, very advanced US AI chips. So just the timing there has been a real focus of the reporting.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on the significance of that? So it sounds like, if I'm understanding you correctly, the tit for tat or the quid pro quo, whatever, the things that happened coincidentally, shall we say, were that Trump made a lot of money and the UAE got access to a lot of these AI chips. Would they have gotten that access otherwise? I know you're not a national security advisor for the U.S., but would that have been deemed to be
indication, perhaps, that this deal was going to happen regardless?
Well, this was in the United States' interest. That this would have happened absent that deal.
So I definitely can't state whether this deal was the factor that led to this chip deal, the latter deal being made. But what I can say is that under the Biden administration, the UAE and in specific Tahnoun's empire, this company G42 in particular, was blocked from access to particularly these chips for fear around national security and in particular ties to China. Now, G42 has denied that those ties it really existed to the extent that the Biden administration might have contended they did, or people during, in that time frame. And they say that they've broken any ties that did exist, before the Trump administration came into office. But this is definitely a different posture towards the U.S.
So they said that they broke any of those ties that did exist, the same ties that they said that Biden was exaggerating about the ties, but we broke any ties that did exist before 47 came into office. Here is your national security being bought and sold to the highest bidder. I wanted to leave you guys with that. Well, there is one more. There is one more thing. I would be remiss if I didn't share this with you. No, I want to talk about family. Before we go, I want to talk about it's always your family. Now we're going to talk about Elon Musk's daughter, and we're going to talk about the family of Elon Musk and what's that big head? Stephen Miller. Let's get into It's Always Your Family. Before I go, but I will not have time to show this tomorrow. Oh, did you guys hear the good news about Nicki Minaj? We all saw Nicki Minaj over the weekend take her stupid ass, pick me ass up to some event with 45, 47 and all of this fake proclamation of he's her favorite and this, that, and the other. And you guys do realize that she was presented with some this gold card or something that is supposed to expedite your citizenships to the United States. Are you aware that right after that, the 45, 47 administration said that, no, that is not a real a gold card. No, that was a symbolic gold card that they gave Nikki. Did you guys know that they had this motherfucker raccoon walking all over television celebrating her ignorance and to only later tell you after she did all of her toe tapping that no, this is not a real card, bitch. No, no, no. That's not what this is, ho. This is not a real gold coin, you dumb bitch. This is some foil paper wrapped over bubble gum, bitch. No, you get nothing, you dumb bitch. Y'all didn't know that? If you didn't know that, look it up. It was a symbolic card that they gave Nicki Minaj. Now let's get into the family aspect of it. Hmm. Uh, Here we go. I'll let Steven. Oh, if you guys are not familiar with Sabby Sabs, I think that you should go over there and talk about a watcher. Let me see. Hmm. Let me see. Hold on. Hold on one second. I may be going in a different direction. Hold on one second. Ugh. Okay. Okay, here we go. I apologize. It's just so much stuff I have back here. I guess we're gonna get to. Let's get to the family drama. Mm. Let me see. Oh, let me see. I apologize. Well, I can't find what I'm looking for. I guess I'm gonna have to come back tomorrow. Oh, hold on. I may be able to find it now. They have pictures of. Oh, you guys heard about the Melania Trump movie that was a total wash. Even family members didn't show up for the premiere. They had some theaters that had two seats purchases. The largest amount of seats that I heard purchased for any showing was 7 seats. A total fucking wash. Now they paid her $40 million for the story and an additional $35 million to promote the movie. I don't recall any promotion of the movie being done prior to this weekend. I remember hearing about it at the inauguration. I didn't hear any promotions, didn't see any promotion, but also, let me see. $70 million, approximately, she was paid for this movie. At the same time, Jeff Bezos is laying off laying off thousands of his workers at the Washington Post. And did you guys see Jeff Bezos' huge chin? Jeff Bezos seemed to have gone the route of his Madam Puppet Face wife. And Jeff Bezos has a big ass motherfucking. He looks like that dude from Family Guy with the one in the wheelchair with that big ass. Either what is this, Joe in the wheelchair, or what's his name, Quagmire, either or. Jeff Bezos, let me see if I can find Jeff Bezos' distorted new chin. He's also grown a beard, I guess trying to make you make it seem like, oh, I just didn't notice his chin was that big when he shaves the beard off. Let me see. Let me see if they have it. Let me see if they have the new chin. Nope. Not here. Who had that new chin? I'll find it. And I'll show it to you tomorrow. Nope, I can't find it. And unfortunately, Anna Wintour has sewn out and allowed Jeff Bezos and his Madam Puppet wife to be over the Met Gala this year. So, all industries have sold out to these billionaires. So, that's the end of the Met Gala. I cannot. I forgot who had that picture of him and that fucking big wonky ass chin that he's sporting now. So let's get into the failure of the Melania movie. At the same time that people are losing their jobs, this is what billionaires are paying money to. Here we go.
Spent upwards of $70 million making and then advertising for the Melania Trump documentary, is apparently planning massive layoffs at the Washington Post. And so as these are brewing, the hashtag quote, hashtag save the post has been used by several reporters there at the Washington Post to try to make the case for why those looming job cuts shouldn't actually happen. It was reported by Dylan Byers of Puck saying massive layoffs coming. Rumor inside Post is that Sports Desk could be shuttered entirely. Foreign Desk will be hit hard too. I don't know what that leaves. Expectation is that hundreds will be affected. Washington Post front office not commenting, because I'm sure if they did comment, they would be the first on the list. But here's what one reporter said to Status's Oliver Darcy. I've never experienced such a feeling of dread. This is one staffer said, describing the mood as morale sinking to a nadir after interviewing more than a half dozen staffers and insiders at the Post, reviewing internal Slack messages. Another former manager bashed Bezos and Lewis's stewardship of the paper as a, quote, business failure on a colossal level. And they're apparently begging him to save their jobs. Some of them, by the way, are evidently trying to get like high profile celebrities who've previously been affiliated with the Post to do something to help them out, including Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. They were in the movie The Post 2017. It was a very well received movie about the Washington Post. They're apparently trying to get them involved to do something about it. But just think about it. I know that there are different aspects of his business, but all of this is under Jeff Bezos. He didn't have to buy the Washington Post. He chose to. And so now apparently they're hurting financially. So hundreds need to lose their jobs. They're not going to do sports reporting anymore. They're reporting on foreign policy and foreign affairs, apparently on the Melania Trump documentary that nobody cares about, nobody asked for, nobody is going to see. It's going to lose almost the entire $70 million. And one would imagine that that would pay for the hundreds of jobs that he is instead going to cut. Now, I want to, especially because we're having some tech problems, I want to get to a little bit about that. Melania apparently called into Fox and Friends to talk about a couple things. Let's jump now to that.
What can we expect, and why was this important to you? Because you're a very private person in many aspects.
This story was never told before. So the audience will see me, how I manage my business, my philanthropy, family, preparation for the inauguration, and also establishing the East Wing for the White House. How I manage all of that in 20 days prior to the inauguration.
The East Wing is a smoking ruin. It's a crater. I'm not saying she didn't do good work setting it up before Donald Trump bashed it to hell or whatever, but it feels like a bit of a moot point now, considering what he did to your offices. Also, look, I don't know the Trumps. Maybe this is me being like a deranged lib or whatever. She's not managing her businesses. Come on. She's an influencer. Somebody comes and says, we're going to make some NFTs. You want to put your name on it, do a brand deal, and they make the NFTs. We're going to make a perfume. You want to put your name on it, and they put her name on the perfume. She's not down there doing payroll. She's not doing business strategy or something. It's just so like, just admit you have the life that you have. Just be real about it. But anyway, obviously, the main reason she went there was to promote the documentary. And the reason she needs to do that is that nobody's actually going. So all the people on our team, Elliot, we looked up to see on the day that the Melania documentary comes out. I looked at my local theater where I go to see movies to see how many tickets had been sold. At the one I went to, about 5 had been sold. Producer Mike gave us a screenshot. 1 seat had been sold in advance, and there's still a couple days, but it's likely that the Melania thing is going to be a massive money waste. And at a time when they're apparently desperate for cash at the Washington Post, it seems even dumber that they wasted all this money on the Melania documentary. But what do you make of all this?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so there you go. Good money out. Good money thrown out after bad. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys today. I'm sorry, that's all I can find. It's a creepy movie in a reality when they pitched it as a romance. Now, also, what was I gonna say? Wait a minute. In reality, when they pitched it as a romance. She looks like Putin's sister to you? I didn't even like Pretty Woman. Why would I want to see a foreign MK Ultra beta sex bot story? Oh my goodness. Now, exactly, you're not going to see any story. Now, isn't it peculiar that Brett Ratner, someone who has been uh, accused of essaying people, was the director of the film, and I like Brett. He was so good. I had such a good time with Brett. And isn't it also peculiar that this same Brett Ratner was pictured, photographed, and released in the Epstein files? Ah, ah. They can't get away from their deviance. So if you didn't know that, they're all suspects. These weirdos are too much. Yes, Brett Ratner, who has long been accused of essay crimes, was the director of this movie. And in this new batch of Epstein files, there is Brett Ratner and Epstein sitting with two underage girls in a very cozy, hands around them situation. So if you didn't hear about that, if you haven't seen the pictures, Google it. The Epstein files are all up and through. Now it is. I have a couple of more things I really need to share with you on this Black History Day. I will leave you with a little Black History. So you will never forget, since this administration is trying to wipe out Black history. Let's get into some Black history. Why don't we? Let me turn the volume up.
Organizations like the NAACP were created by and led by Zionists such as Joel Spingarn, who actually worked in military intelligence. He was a military spy. He was one of the founding fathers, and they named the NAACP Merit Award that they give out every year after him, still to this day. That's right, the NAACP Merit Award is not even named after a black person, but a Zionist. And black people were not even allowed to lead in the top position of the NAACP until decades after it was created in 1955 by Roy Wilkins. And still to this day, all African American civil rights, all their organizations and all their movements are not allowed in any way to be anti-Semitic. Not just in civil rights organizations, but even in black media. BET, Black Entertainment Television, the entire black music industry, all the movies, all the sitcoms, that is all Zionist owned, and they profit off on that too. No one but your own people should own your media. All of African American media belongs to African Americans, and that should be handed back to them. With Zionist control over the press and education system, Zionists only portray black history in a very negative way, constantly reminding them that they were slaves and nothing else. Most black people don't even know of all the great achievements they've had in the past, even that they were the pharaohs and leaders of the Egyptian empire in the last 200 years of the empire. And go ahead, look up the black pharaohs. There's many statues in history about that, but most African Americans don't even know about that. A positive history can be productive and motivating to a people, and they're depriving them of that, only keeping things strictly negative. The BLM movement itself had co-chair directors Susan Rosenberg, the one who made sure that everyone was a highly trained Marxist and who was directing their money and their politics. And just like the NAACP, they were only maneuvering them around for their own benefit, hijacking other people's civil rights for their own benefit and motivations. Once Joe Biden won, BLM just kind of disappeared, didn't it? Is that a coincidence? No. And police brutality under Biden actually increased, which was the number one thing that BLM was motivated about. But then all of a sudden, they don't want to mention that anymore. Zionists hate all of us. They use all of us against each other in one big giant political chess game. Don't ever fall for this. Everybody, don't be tricked, don't be ruled, and don't be controlled by them. See who your real enemies are. And keep exposing the truth and exposing real history too. The bad history between Zionists and African Americans.
People don't realize who brought the slaves to America. They were Jewish ships.
First is the vast majority of slave ships that crossed the Atlantic was actually owned by them. And as they were top of the shipping, they also had top priority as first customers. And they were so involved in the slave trade and the slave auctions that if a slave auction actually fell on a Jewish holiday, it was postponed. Then later in American history, most African American civil rights organizations like the NAACP were created by and led by Zionists such as Joel Spingarn, who actually worked.
There's another one I want to share with you before I leave. Let me share this one with you right quick. Here we go. I'll put the volume on and start it over.
The Germans let them get into banking, bad decision. Let them get into trade.
Hold on. Here we go.
They said when the Holocaust happened, we allowed them to come because they were facing pain and we wanted to make sure they had a safe place where they were safe. Now, how could they come and try to do this to us? I was like, y'all must don't know these Jews.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw what happened in Palestine.
Hey, I know what happened in Germany. People don't talk about this. In 1905, the Jews went to Russia to try to kill the Tsar. When the Russians found out what happened, they stopped them and put them out. Nobody else in Europe wanted them. You know the one nation that would take them?
Germany or?
Germany.
Interesting.
The Germans let them in 1905 in mass numbers, fleeing Russia. They weren't fleeing persecution. They were fearing justice. They tried to kill the Tsar. You can't kill. That's like killing the king. You can't kill the Tsar. These arrogant Jews, financed by Wall Street, go in and try to kill the Russian head. The Russians said, you got it. They run into Germany. The Germans let them get into banking. Bad decision. Let them get into trade. The biggest trading partner with it, okay, just like we have everything is made in China now, back during that time, everything was made in Germany. They were the greatest producers at that time. Great relationship with America, like this. Yeah. Everything was made in Germany. The Jews took over. The Germans won World War I. People don't know this. The Germans won World War I. Do you know what happened?
I'm not sure what they got. They were trying to pay for the war, right?
No. They won the war. It was really over. But the Jews from Germany, the ones that the Germans let get rich, went to England and said, hey, you want to win this war? They said, yeah, but we can't win. The Navy, we didn't know they had a powerful Navy like this in Germany. I said, don't worry about that. We'll bring America into the war.
It's the Balfour Declaration, right? I didn't hear about that.
I
didn't realize they'd almost won the war at that point. I know
they had won the war. No,
I knew that's why they forced them in.
They had won World War I. It was over. They were ready to go and sit down and talk. But the Jews said, we'll bring America in.
Yeah, and America stepping into World War I made zero sense. There was no reason for us to step in, but it was just like, it showed the power of the bankers.
The Jews, it's an extermination. I don't have any other, it's an extermination campaign. How can we get America, England, France, Germany, Russia, how can we get them all killing each other? We're trying to kill all the white folks. We got to get them in a major war. So we're going to betray the Germans who saved us from death, flip on them, and all they got to do, we'll bring America into this war. It wasn't about getting Palestine. That wasn't it.
Yeah,
that's just what they used. That was the added bonus. We want them at war with each other. But the added bonus, we're going to get our own homeland where we'll make it our base. They told them, just give us Palestine as our homeland, and we get it.
Yeah, the land that wasn't theirs to give.
You know what they told me?
Exactly.
They said, when the Holocaust happened, we allowed them to come because they were facing pain, and we wanted to make sure they had a safe place where they were safe.
I think it's only one more I have for you. I think that's it. Okay, I appreciate you guys all coming. Oh, I have one more. The United States is now being sued for those two other people who lost their lives in those boat strikes that they told you were drug boats coming in from Venezuela, and you've heard nothing else about a drug problem from Venezuela since they are. The United States is over there selling their oil and putting their money in uh, bank accounts in Qatar. Uh, Here we go.
Killed by U.S. boat strike in the Caribbean are suing the Trump administration for wrongful death and extrajudicial killing. On October 14th, Chad Joseph, who was 26 years old, and Rishi Samaru, who was 41, were on a small vessel headed back to Trinidad from Venezuela when their boat was targeted, killing all 6 people on board. Soon after, President Trump released video of the strike on social media, referring to those killed as narco-terrorists. The families of Joseph and Samaru say both men had been away from home working on Venezuelan farms and fishing and were simply returning home. At least 125 people have been killed in the unprecedented bombing campaign on civilian boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific since September.
There were sort of itinerant farmers and fishermen who had been long awaiting for a ride home from Venezuela where they worked and were assassinated on their boat along with 4 other people. And it's just sort of, I think, the latest example of the Trump administration's total mockery of contempt for the post-World War II human rights consensus, where nations are constrained by law and not mere might. And under that law, nation states can't just sort of willy-nilly declare war on some entity like some unspecified drug cartel and then use military force. The conditions for an armed conflict aren't there. And so therefore, this is just an outright cold-blooded murder.
Outright cold-blooded murder.
The families of 2 Trinidadian men killed.
Let me see something else. Let me I must play a piece of this hearing. I must play a piece of this hearing with Marco Rubio looking like he need to puff on a rock or sniff something. I'll leave you guys with this. Let me make sure the volume is up. Here we go.
Of the presidency to pocket $1.4 billion plus since he was sworn in. New York Times analysis entitled "Trump's Plundering of America" indicates that some of that is a result of the president selling corruption here at home, but much of it relates to the president selling out U.S. interests overseas to make a killing for his family, including giving away sensitive U.S. semiconductor and AI technologies to the UAE, while the UAE pumped $2 billion into one of the Trump family ventures. And then there are all the other Trump deals that are intertwined with tariff or foreign policy matters. Golf courses in Saudi Arabia and Vietnam, Trump hotels and office buildings in other countries. And of course, there's the $400 million jet from Qatar. The list goes on and on. By any measure, this is the most corrupt administration in American history. The president and his family have used the office of the presidency to pocket
Okay. Just giving you the information. Do with it as you choose. I hope you guys Have a safe remainder of your week. There is supposed to be another uh, a cold flash coming. I do believe this week. I'm pretty sure it's this week. So avail yourselves. Do not wait until the last minute to beg people for perishables. Do not beg people for salami and bread. They call that perishables. If you are begging for salami, uh, pretend like your mother taught you something, and she taught you that bread molds quickly. Beg for some crackers, something that's going to have a longer shelf life. Don't be out here begging for perishables. Don't come on here begging for salads and at 10 and 11 o'clock at night, as if people don't understand that you are buying marijuana. Don't the time for being dumb is really over. Don't open your mouth. Every time you open your mouth, you sound like a fucking idiot. Do not do that. Take care of yourselves, take care of your family, make sure that you have some substance in your home. Just in case you're in your home for a long period of time, get up off your ass and off of the computer. And if you're too broke to buy anything, if you're too dumb to have stockpile things in this bad economy, at the time that this government is showing you that they give zero fucks about you, take your ass to a food pantry. I understand that even now a lot of food pantries have closed down and have little food, but don't look at begging as if this is the first way, because nobody is responsible for taking care of you, especially when you don't give a fuck about taking care of yourselves. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like button, double tap if you're on the vertical, double tap, and I'll see you back tomorrow. I'm sorry I had so many stories I wanted to get to, so I had to. I will be here tomorrow. We will now be backed up, and we will be back at it tomorrow. Day 3 of Black History Month. Hey, Lena, it is good to see you. Be safe, Leonard. Thank you for showing up, and Z Sarah, I appreciate you as well, and I appreciate all of you who stopped by. Okay. Let me be clear. You people who come in here and talk to me and at me, I don't give a fuck about what you think about me. I'm here to give information. If you would like to talk about the information, you're more than welcome to talk about the information. It's not my problem that you can't converse about the information that I'm giving. I'm not insulted because the only thing that you can say is some dumb shit that is not focused on the topic of the conversations. I'm not impressed. I do not care. My mission is to give information. No one is making you stay here and listen to it. But I can tell you one thing. The thing that I try to do the most is to give you information that the for-profit media is ignoring in the world. I don't care if you're mad. I don't care if you're mad, but what you're not going to do, and when you're in my chat, you're not going to curse in my chat, and you're not going to disrespect me in my chat, or you will be taken out of my chat. We can always agree to disagree, but when you try to disrespect me, I'm going to disrespect you back, and I can do it better than you. Capiche? Capiche, Jane? You stupid bitch. All right, guys. Have a good day. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.